Chapter 802. Before going to the Qin family with Qin Yishuang and Zisu, Long Yu first checked the mission board in the Sacred Tower. He quickly found that all the missions in the Alliance of Five Emperors didn't reward items or shinbi, but rather alliance points. Through completing missions, the cultivators of the Alliance of Five Emperors could obtain alliance points, which they could use to exchange for pills, weapons, martial skills, etc. As long as they had enough alliance points, they could even exchange for ancient martial skills. Of course, when Long Yu checked the information on the mission board, he found that the strongest martial skill reward in the Alliance of Five Emperors was an ancient low-level martial skill, which was useless to Long Yu. My mission board is a filtered mission board that is specially provided to the direct disciples of the Five Emperors. The reward for completing the mission is also alliance points, but at the same time, you will also get the corresponding Five Emperors points. For example, if I complete a mission, I can get some Red Emperor points. Only by using Red Emperor points can I exchange for the real good stuff. Long Yu checked the rewards that could be exchanged with Red Emperor points. It actually included God Rune Crystals, ancient high-level pills, ancient mid-level martial skills, etc., a series of things that couldn't be obtained in the outside world. Of course, to exchange for these things, the amount of Red Emperor points required was astronomical. Just the amount of Red Emperor points needed to exchange for ancient mid-level martial skills was enough to at least complete a few missions of the highest difficulty. And on this mission board, the most difficult mission was to destroy the alien beast's nest. The alien beast fortress that the Envoy of Death mentioned was called a nest here, but it all had the same meaning. Not only that, half of the missions on the mission board were related to alien beasts. It seemed that for the Alliance of Five Emperors, their main purpose was to deal with the alien beasts that were scattered throughout the Shenwu world. Aside from dealing with alien beasts, there were also many bandit extermination missions. Some of the more difficult missions needed to deal with Emperor Realm bandit leaders, and the rewards were quite good. Unfortunately, these missions were too difficult for the current Long Yu. All the missions in the Alliance of Five Emperors were ranked from 1 star to 7 stars, with 1 star being the easiest and 7 stars being the hardest. However, the missions that were deleted from Long Yu's mission board were all 4 stars. Even the easiest mission has to deal with Emperor Realm Masters and exterminate bandits. How scary. Long Yu sighed. It seemed like he didn't need to bother with the missions on the board for the time being. Perhaps he could only accept some quests related to exotic beasts. With the overpowered disguise thaumaturgy of the Book of Dark Shadows, as well as various stealth abilities, Long Yu had the advantage in scouting. Since he was preparing to break into an alien beast fortress by himself, he could take on some scouting missions and complete them along the way. Aside from this, there were also some donation missions on the board. As long as he donated some cultivation resources, the Alliance of Five Emperors could exchange them for a certain amount of alliance points, as well as the more important Red Emperor points for Long Yu. This mission isn't bad. Long Yu glanced around and saw a mission that seemed to have been piled up for a long time. Alien Beast Information Collection. Once he submitted some unknown alien beast information, whether it was their weakness in battle or their living habits, he would be able to obtain a large amount of alliance points, as well as Red Emperor points. Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. I've earned big this time. Long Yu was overjoyed. Of course he was overjoyed. When it came to understanding alien beasts, who could compare to the Death Envoy? If he could dig out some information from the Death Envoy and put it in the Alliance of Five Emperors, he would be able to obtain a large amount of points. This way, even if Long Yu wanted to exchange for 1,000 divine rune crystals to repair the dragon skeleton tower, it wouldn't be a difficult task. Of course, Long Yu couldn't openly reveal a large amount of alien beast information. Otherwise, wouldn't he be telling others that he had a lot of secrets hidden here? When the Red Emperor returns, I'll first do a scouting mission and hand over some information. This way, I can maximize the mission rewards. Long Yu had basically decided on his next cultivation goal. But before that, he had to accompany Qin Yashuang and Zi Su back to the Qin family. As for the Qin family, Long Yu didn't have a good impression of them. So after hearing Qin Yashuang's plan, Long Yu immediately agreed. Outside the sacred tower, Qin Yashuang and Zi Su finally left the sacred tower and slowly walked back to the Qin family. They attracted the attention of many people along the way. By now, who didn't know that these two girls had a close relationship with Long Yu? There were even rumors that these two girls were Long Yu's women. Many people greeted the two of them. It could be seen how much respect they had for Long Yu. They even treated Qin Yashuang and Zi Su like this. When they saw Long Yu, what would they be like? Unfortunately, there was no sign of Long Yu behind the two girls. Many people were disappointed. The two girls walked straight to the Qin family. This news quickly spread to the ears of the Qin family. Everyone, including the Qin family head, actively prepared. Of course, they had to prepare. Qin Yashuang and Zi Su were now the people around the genius Long Yu. Since the two girls were willing to return to the Qin family, it was obvious that they were willing to accept the Qin family, right? Once they managed to rope in Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, they wouldn't have to worry about their relationship with Long Yu. Regarding this, many people in the Qin family felt sullen. Qin Yashuang was obviously the daughter of the family head, but now they had to mobilize everyone to rope in her. It could be seen that the Qin family head, Qin Changyu, was a failure as a father. However, the people in the Qin family also knew that they had no choice. Who asked them to treat Qin Yashuang and Zi Su so badly? The root cause of all this was that Qin Yashuang's mother was a lover that Qin Changyu had brought back. Qin Changyu's first wife had given birth to 5 sons for him. Naturally, Qin Changyu liked her. As for Qin Yashuang's mother, she was very beautiful when she was young. Unfortunately, after giving birth to Qin Yashuang, she got very sick. She became very haggard. She took a lot of pills, but they couldn't cure her. Therefore, Qin Changyu quickly distanced himself from her. Qin Changyu would never have thought that one day he would need Qin Yashuang's help. However, as long as he could get in touch with Long Yu and beg his daughter, so what? Young lady is back. Very quickly, someone shouted at the entrance of the Qin family's luxurious residence. Then, everyone stood neatly in the Qin family's residence. Qin Changyu even brought Qin Yashuang's mother out. He let her sit on a chair and ordered people to take good care of her. When Qin Yashuang and Zi Su stepped into the Qin family, they saw such a scene, which surprised them. Yashuang, you are back. Qin Changyu took off his golden armor and put on a casual robe. He had a smile on his face which made him look very kind. Qin Yashuang's mother, who was sitting next to him, was a slightly old woman. Seeing this scene, she was very happy. She had no achievements in the martial path in her life, and after giving birth to Qin Yashuang, she had even gotten seriously ill. The only thing she wanted in her life was to receive Qin Changyu's care. Now, because her daughter had become a servant of a genius young man, she finally got what she wanted. Therefore, the woman had a happy smile on her face. Qin Yashuang nodded at Qin Changyu's greeting. Then, she looked at her mother, the slightly old woman, and said, "Mother, I want to send you to live in the sacred tower. There might be a strong person who can cure your illness." As soon as these words came out, the woman's eyes immediately flashed with hope. Cure the illness. Originally, she didn't have any hope, but if it was the alliance of 5 emperors, it might be possible to cure her illness. If she could cure her illness, thinking about this, the woman raised her head hesitantly and looked at Qin Changyu, her man. In the Qin family, everyone listened to Qin Changyu. If Qin Changyu didn't agree, she wouldn't be able to leave. Hearing Qin Yashuang's words, Qin Changyu was in a dilemma. To be honest, he didn't want Qin Yashuang's mother to leave. Only with her, Qin Yashuang could come back to the Qin family. However, Qin Yashuang's reason of curing her illness was something that Qin Chang Yu couldn't reject. Okay. As long as you want it, it's fine. Qin Chang Yu waved his hand and said, Daughter, father has indeed let you down. However, let bygones be bygones. I didn't fulfill my responsibility. Let me slowly make up for it in the future, okay? Qin Yashuang nodded and then waved her hand. Seeing this, Zisu walked forward and pushed Qin Yashuang's mother's chair. Then, she turned around and walked out of the Qin family mansion. She didn't look reluctant at all. Qin Chang Yu wanted to ask her to stay, but seeing that Qin Yashuang didn't follow, he didn't act impulsively. Father, actually, the situation has changed. Qin Yashuang felt that Zisu had pushed her mother far away. Then, she looked at Qin Chang Yu and said, Long Yu is going to follow the Red Emperor to gain experience. As for me and Zisu, we were chased away by Long Yu. He doesn't need us by his side anymore. So, I'm here to say goodbye to you. You won't see me and Zisu again, and you won't see my mother again. When he said this, Qin Chang Yu was still thinking about how to make it up to Qin Yashuang so that she would change her mind. But after he said this, Qin Chang Yu's face turned black. She was actually chased away by Long Yu? This disappointing lass. Beside Qin Chang Yu, the other Qin family members felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over them. They looked at Qin Yashuang coldly. Among them, Qin Chang Yu's 40-year-old son suddenly laughed. Haha, weren't you very proud? Weren't you disrespectful to our Qin family in the Sacred Tower meeting room? Now you're getting your retribution. Haha. Chapter 803. When Qin Yashuang said that she would no longer follow Long Yu, everyone's face changed. Qin Chang Yu's face darkened. His daughter had been driven away by Long Yu. Didn't that mean that the Qin family had lost the best chance to make friends with Long Yu? You lost Long Yu. Logically, you should be punished. Qin Chang Yu said, But you are my daughter. I can't bear to see you and your mother suffer outside. Bring your mother back, and let her continue to live in the Qin family. But in exchange, you must marry the genius of 9 Sons sect, Lan Xuyen. Qin Chang Yu wasn't the only one who said this. His sons, Qin Yashuang's brothers, also said the same thing. After all, if Qin Yashuang no longer followed Long Yu, she would have no value to the Qin family. Since they were going to raise Qin Yashuang, they naturally had to make her do something for the Qin family. Marrying Lan Xuyen of 9 Sons sect would be considered a contribution. I said that I only came back to take my mother away. I won't stay in the Qin family anymore. When Qin Yashuang heard the Qin family's laughter and Qin Chang Yu's request, her heart was like dead ashes. Originally, she still had a trace of hope for the Qin family, but now it seemed that it was too stupid. The Qin family was a bunch of idiots. I'm afraid it's not up to you. Qin Chang Yu snorted and waved his hand. A few Emperor Realm elders of the Qin family flew out and surrounded Qin Yashuang. It seemed like they wanted to capture her. Without Long Yu's support in the eyes of the Qin family, you are just an early-stage King Realm girl. What is there to be proud of? Qin Chang Yu's eldest son snorted. Wait until you marry Lan Xuyen. You must not lose face for the Qin family. Otherwise, I will hold you responsible. Does the Qin family still have face? At this moment, a light laugh came from outside the Qin family's mansion. Then, a young man in black walked in with a smile and walked towards Qin Yashuang. This young man was Long Yu. This time, Long Yu had seen the true colors of the Qin family clearly. Staying in such a family for more than 10 years was really tough for Qin Yashuang. Luckily, she had a tough personality and she had persevered. Not only that, she had relied on self-reliance and self-improvement to break through to the initial stage of the King Realm. It was needless to say how many difficulties she had encountered. This made Long Yu like Qin Yashuang even more. It wasn't love between a man and a woman, but it was like caring for a sister. Seeing the Qin family dare to stop Qin Yashuang from leaving, Long Yu came. Immediately, you appeared. When Long Yu's figure appeared, everyone from the Qin clan was shocked. When they saw Long Yu walking towards Qin Yishuang and comforting her, they hated Qin Yishuang even more. This woman actually lied to them. Long Yu didn't chase her away, but she purposely put on such a show to fool them. She was too hateful. Qin Yashuang, you tricked us. Qin Zhang Yu's eldest son was the most shocked. He was the first one to make things difficult for Qin Yashuang. Naturally, he couldn't accept the truth. I just wanted to see your true colors. Qin Yashuang stood next to Long Yu and strangely felt safe. Long Yu was only at 6 realms. She raised her head and looked at Qin Chang Yu and her so-called brothers with a smile of relief on her face. But from today onwards, I won't have to see you people anymore. Everyone in the Qin family is evil. Can you blame others for this? Brother Long, let's go. Qin Yashuang turned her head and said to Long Yu. Long Yu didn't have a good impression of the Qin family, let alone now that he had seen their true colors. He had appeared just to bring Qin Yashuang away. With him around, the Qin family wouldn't dare to stop him, unless they wanted the entire Qin family to perish. Qin Chang Yu stood in place and didn't dare to move. The Emperor realm elders of the Qin family, who were surrounding Qin Yashuang, didn't dare to say a word. The entire Qin family could only watch Long Yu and Qin Yashuang leave the Qin family's mansion. Looking at Qin Yashuang and Long Yu's backs as they left, everyone in the Qin family was filled with regret. If they knew that Qin Yashuang and Long Yu were together, they would have foolishly believed that Long Yu would abandon Qin Yashuang. They had lost a great chance to make friends with Long Yu. Forget about making friends with Long Yu. Long Yu probably didn't have a good impression of the entire Qin family. It's a pity about that ancient pill. Even I haven't taken that pill before. Qin Zhang Yu's eldest son said with pity. Family head Qin Zhang Yue was standing at the side, listening to this. He felt like vomiting blood and dying from anger. At this time, this brat was still thinking about that ancient grade medicinal pill? That's all. No wonder the Qin family was in decline. His sons were all short-sighted. They only knew how to fool around with other young masters. When did they spend so much time on cultivation? Can Long Yu overturn the heavens? Qin Zhang Yu narrowed his eyes. Qin Chang Yu narrowed his eyes. Thinking that the Gongsun clan had actually given Long Yu 2 million Shinbi, he felt quite satisfied. The patriarch of the Gongsun clan would never swallow his anger that his son had been killed. Now that he had given 2 million Shinbi, it was only to wash away the suspicion. At that time, Long Yu might just die, and the murderer might not be found. All of you, go back and cultivate. Qin Zhang Yu shouted and turned around to leave. He wasn't worried that Long Yu would harm the Qin family because of today's matter. That would only happen if Long Yu was alive to increase his cultivation. After leaving the Qin family, Long Yu and Qin Yashuang met up with Zi Su and Mother Qin. They went to the sanctum together. On the way, Long Yu observed Mother Qin's condition and found out that she really had a rare disease. It made it difficult for her to walk freely. Her face looked old and her breathing was chaotic. If they couldn't find a way to cure her, she might not live more than 3 years. This made Qin Yishuang and Zi Su's mood very bad. But in general, being able to leave the Qin family was a kind of relief. Mother Qin had suffered a lot in the Qin family. Now she could finally leave the cage. Long Yu and the others brought Mother Qin to the office on the first floor of the sacred tower. After registering Mother Qin, she had the authority to step onto the 1560th floor of the sacred tower. This floor originally didn't have a name, but now that it belonged to Long Yu, it was called the Dragon Domain. The other floors of the sacred tower were named the same way. It was very easy to distinguish who lived on each floor and avoid any trouble. Soon, Qin Yishuang and Zi Su settled Mother Qin down. As for Long Yu, he directly went to the Star Soul formation to cultivate. He absorbed the heaven and earth spiritual qi while sensing the Dubhe stars. He wanted to cultivate the Dubhe qi drawing technique to the transformation realm. But before that, Long Yu directly recorded the Dubhe drawing technique in a jade slip. It took him 2 hours. Of course, the Dubhe drawing technique that he recorded was not complete. He could only rely on cultivating it to the transcendent realm, which was the same realm as Long Yu's current realm. But for Qin Yishuang and Zisu, it was definitely enough for the time being. When the two women cultivated it to the transcendent realm, Long Yu would naturally step into the transformation realm. At that time, he just had to draw a new jade slip. Qin Yishuang and Zisu were very surprised about the Dubhe drawing technique. From what they had seen and heard so far, they had only heard of the existence of this type of cultivation technique. They had never seen it before. They didn't expect that Long Yu would actually teach it. I snatched this martial technique when I participated in the battle for the Red Emperor's illusion realm in the North Snow Empire. My opponents were 2 young experts in the late stage of the King realm. Long Yu casually explained to the 2 women, in that battle for the Red Emperor's illusion realm, the 2 experts in the late stage of the King realm both failed. In the end, only I obtained the final reward, which was this Dubhe drawing technique. Because of this, the Red Emperor gave me the Red Emperor's order. I see. When the 2 women heard this, their eyes immediately lit up. They didn't expect that Long Yu, who was only in the Theurgy secret realm, would use a strategy to snatch something from the hands of the experts in the late stage of the King realm. No wonder the Red Emperor took a fancy to it. After hearing Long Yu's explanation, the 2 women now knew that the North Snow Empire wasn't a big place. Even the strongest experts there were only in the late stage of the Emperor realm. Yuan Xin was already the strongest among them. This was simply unimaginable in the holy city of the 5 emperors. Didn't this mean that even their father, who was in the early stage of the Emperor realm, could completely dominate the North Snow Empire? However, the Qin family had so many resources, but none of their juniors were promising. Compared to the Qin family, the North Snow Empire's resources were obviously much less. However, the North Snow Empire had 2 young geniuses, Yuan Xin and Long Yu. In contrast, the Qin family was even more useless. Although Long Yu had already treated Qin Yishuang and Zisu as his own people, he still hadn't taught them other martial skills, such as the ancient rank Fallen Dark Star. These kinds of martial skills involved Long Yu's greatest secret. Even in front of the people closest to him, he couldn't reveal even the slightest bit of it. Otherwise, he might suffer a disaster. Until now, Long Yu didn't know what secrets the Taiwu Empire knew about him. This made Long Yu feel like there was a sharp blade on his back. He had to be vigilant at all times. Fortunately, he was in the Holy Tower now, so no one would come to cause trouble. In the next few days, Long Yu waited for the Red Emperor to return. At the same time, he cultivated the Dubhe drawing martial technique. He also absorbed a lot of spiritual energy in the Star Spirit Array, all of which was used to activate the 7th Theurgy seed. During this time, Long Yu didn't leave the Dragon Domain. Qin Yishuang and Zisu were the same. The 2 women were madly cultivating the Dubhe drawing martial technique. This was a powerful martial technique related to their future cultivation speed, so they valued it greatly. Chapter 804. The second floor of the Holy Tower was called the 5 Emperors' Hall. It was a grand place that would only be opened when something big happened in the alliance of 5 emperors. Qin Yishuang and Zisu followed Long Yu. Long Yu made a hand seal and instantly teleported from the dragon territory to the 5 Emperors' Hall. As soon as they opened their eyes, they saw many people already waiting. Senior brother Xing Fa. Long Yu saw Xing Fa, who was wearing a red cloak. His figure was tall and straight. He stood there, exuding a terrifying aura, like a god of death. This was an aura that could only be produced by killing countless beasts. No one else could learn it even if they wanted to. When Xing Fa saw Long Yu, he smiled and nodded. "Junior brother, you're here. Master is finally back today," and can officially accept you as a personal disciple. Of course, the most important thing today is to receive the gifts from everyone and to meet the other 4 emperors. Long Yu nodded. He already knew about this, but he was curious about the gifts he was about to receive. He had already received many gifts from the holy cities of 5 emperors and the surrounding forces who wanted to befriend him. Among them, the best gifts were from the 6 sects, 10 nations, and the 3 great firms. However, they were merely some ancient rank medicinal pills, ranging from low to mid-grade. The Taiwu Empire had also given him a special crystal of the Emperor realm. Now, what gifts would the alliance of 5 emperors give to Long Yu? Not only Long Yu was looking forward to it, but even Xing Fa, Qin Yashuang, Zisu, and the others were looking forward to it. Although it was not for them, they could at least see it, right? One had to know that Long Yu was a genius who set foot on the 30th floor of the 5 emperors' fantasy world. If others didn't give him something good, it would be too embarrassing. At this time, in the hall of the 5 emperors, only Xing Fa and 2 other people were there. They were all the direct disciples of the Red Emperor. As for the direct disciples of the other 4 emperors, they would naturally arrive with the other 4 emperors later. With Xing Fa's introduction, Long Yu soon got to know the other 2. One of them was a young man who was also wearing a red cloak. His face looked extremely determined, and his body also emitted a terrifying aura like Xing Fa's. The peak of the great Emperor realm. He's called Dao Jingtian. He's your second senior brother. He's been exterminating exotic beasts with me all year round. His contributions over the years aren't any less than mine. Xing Fa pointed at the young man in the red cloak and introduced him. Senior brother Dao. Long Yu nodded lightly as a form of greeting. Compared to Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian didn't seem to be as good with words. He only nodded slightly and said nothing else. This is your 5th senior brother. Don't be fooled by the fact that he only knows how to eat every day. His strength isn't bad either. He's an early-stage emperor now, and has only been under master's tutelage for 3 years. Xing Fa introduced a fatty on the other side. This fatty was currently holding a barbecued leg and chewing on it. At first glance, this person looked like he was overflowing with fat. This person was an early-stage emperor genius. Long Yu couldn't believe it. This guy, he wouldn't just throw out a barbecued leg and let it explode to kill his enemies, would he? Long Yu couldn't help but think of it in a bad way. This must be Shao Qi. He's much luckier than us. The fatty looked at the 2 girls behind Long Yu with an envious expression. I'm Yu Linfeng. Shao Qi, look, isn't your 5th senior brother handsome and elegant? Long Yu didn't say anything. He only stared at Yu Linfeng, not knowing what to say. Right, I heard that you and Shao Qi are both from the remote North Snow Dynasty. Does that mean you know Shao Qi very well? Yu Linfeng ran over and asked with a wretched expression, Look, do you think your 5th senior brother and your 6th senior sister are compatible? Long Yu was shocked by the fatty's words for a while, then he said, 6th senior sister is a demon cultivator, she is an ice bird. It's fine, race isn't the problem. True love is everything. Shao Qi, you have to help your 5th senior brother. Your 6th senior sister doesn't usually pay attention to me, it's all up to you now. The fatty looked at Long Yu with a sneaky expression. Alright, Long Yu came to the 5 Emperors' Hall once. He hadn't even met his master yet, but he was already forced to be a matchmaker? TSK, fatty, get out of the way. Look at you, how can you be worthy of 6th junior sister? Right at this moment, another voice sounded out from behind Long Yu, and it instantly drew the attention of most of the people here. Long Yu also turned his head to look, and saw a young swordsman dressed in a scarlet robe. This young swordsman could be said to be really handsome, and there was a scarlet long sword hanging from his waist. With one look, one could tell that it was an ancient ranked combat weapon, and it was definitely not a low-grade one. Unfortunately, this young swordsman was a little short. He could only reach Long Yu's shoulder. It really didn't match his handsome appearance. It was a pity. Shao Si, you've completed your mission? Xing Fa saw this young swordsman, who was a little short, and greeted him with a smile. Done. They're just bandits, what's there to be afraid of? The young swordsman smiled and turned his head to look at Long Yu. This is our 7th junior brother? Not bad, not bad. I heard that he only has a cultivation of 5 divine realms, but he actually stepped into the 30th level of the 5 Emperors' illusion world. 6 divine realms, that's pretty fast. Shao Qi, this is your 4th senior brother, Nailan Jun. His martial arts talent is extremely high, and his swordsmanship is outstanding. Xing Fa introduced. Senior brother Nailan, nice to meet you. Long Yu greeted him politely. We're brothers, don't mind me, Nailan Jun said with a graceful smile. Then, he pointed at the fatty Yu Linfeng. However, this fellow actually dared to snatch my 6th junior sister. He's really audacious. Why doesn't he look at himself first? Is he worthy of 6th junior sister? Short people don't have the right to speak. Although the fatty was fat, he was tall. Yu Linfeng squinted his eyes, looking down on Nailan Jun. Fatty, if you have the guts, come out and fight me. Nailan Jun was instantly enraged and shouted. Let's fight then, do you think I'm afraid of you? The fatty sneered, not the slightest bit afraid. Eldest senior brother, is it really okay for them to be like this? Long Yu looked at the two of them fighting, sweating a little. It's fine, they're used to it. Xing Fa could not do anything to the two of them. He could only shake his head, indicating that there was no need to care. Nailan Jun and Yu Linfeng, one fat and one short, immediately started to scold each other. Their words were so rich that even Long Yu had never heard of it before. He was afraid that the two of them would fight because of a disagreement. However, Long Yu was too worried. To the two of them, scolding was one thing, but they definitely could not attack each other. It was not because of their brotherly relationship, but because whoever attacked first would mean that the one who couldn't win the scolding would lose. Wouldn't that mean that they would lose in a scolding battle? Naturally, the two of them would not admit defeat. Cough cough, Master should be here soon. Let's find a place to sit. We'll talk about the gifts between us brothers later. Now we should prepare to receive the gifts from the other 4 emperors. Look forward to it. Xing Fa patted Long Yu's shoulder and said with a smile. Of course, Long Yu was looking forward to it. The gifts from the 5 emperors, how could they be underestimated? Before becoming the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, Long Yu had already obtained the Dubhe drawing technique, and the Dubhe drawing technique could only be said to be a gift from the Red Emperor to the country where Yu Hanshin was located. The gift given to the country where Yu Hanshin was located was already so powerful. Then, how heaven-defying would the gifts given to Yu Hanshin by the other 4 emperors be? Everyone found a place to sit down. As expected, just as they sat down, 2 familiar figures to Long Yu suddenly appeared in the hall of the 5 emperors. The old man in a red robe, the Red Emperor. The beautiful woman in white, Yu Hanshin. As soon as the 2 of them arrived at the hall of the 5 emperors, they immediately noticed Long Yu, Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, who were sitting on the side. Their faces suddenly revealed a smile. Kid, I guessed that you would come to the sacred city, but I didn't expect you to come so soon. It seems that you provoked an empire in the North Snow Dynasty? The Red Emperor glanced at Long Yu and asked with a smile. Long Yu could only nod. He really didn't want to come so soon, but he was forced by Emperor Yundan. 30th level, you're stronger than me. It seems that I underestimated you. Yu Hanshin's eyes flashed with expectation. She looked at Long Yu and said, Unfortunately, your martial arts realm is too low. No matter what, you have to step into the king realm as soon as possible. Long Yu nodded again. Unfortunately, Yu Hanshin didn't know that Long Yu could step into the king realm at any time if he wanted. It was just that he was afraid that his realm would be unstable, so he temporarily suppressed it at the 6th Daos divine power realm. If there was a need to break through, Long Yu could do it in minutes. If he suddenly broke through in a life and death battle, it could reverse the situation. I heard that when you stepped on the 30th level of the 5 Emperors illusion world, the entire illusion world of the 5 Emperors collapsed. Otherwise, how could you continue fighting? The Red Emperor asked Long Yu. That's not true. Even if the illusion world didn't collapse, I wouldn't have the strength to fight again. Long Yu said the truth and shook his head. You're quite modest. The Red Emperor smiled with satisfaction and then said directly, Now, I officially accept you as my 7th disciple. Long Yu, are you willing? I am willing. Of course, Long Yu agreed right away. Very well, if that's the case, I'll give you a gift as your Shifu. Just tell me what you want, as long as I can give it to you, it won't be a problem. The Red Emperor smiled and said, Little Six's gift at the time was to go to the North Snow Empire and provide some pill recipes, weapon molds, and grand desolate martial skills. I did that. What about you? What do you want? As soon as the Red Emperor said that, everyone went silent. Everyone wanted to know what Long Yu wanted the most right now. Anything is really fine? Long Yu asked in surprise. Of course, as long as I have it. The Red Emperor nodded and said. As one of the 5 Emperors, the leader of the Alliance of 5 Emperors, one of the 5 strongest people in Shen Wu world, as long as it's something that exists in this world, what can't he give? Shem. I want the divine rune crystals. Chapter 805. Divine rune crystals are very useful to Long Yu. Just the first step of repairing the Dragon Skeleton Tower requires 1000 grade 1 divine rune crystals to turn it into an ancient weapon. And this is only the first step. To repair it further, 10,000 grade 1 divine rune crystals are needed. To completely repair it, 100,000 grade 1 divine rune crystals are needed. This number is enough to scare even the Red Emperor to death. Of course, the Red Emperor can't take out 100,000 grade 1 divine rune crystals. In fact, even the Red Emperor would find it very difficult to take out grade 1 divine rune crystals. After all, even the most sturdy structure of Shen Wu world, the 5 Emperors' Sacred Tower, only used a few thousand grade 1 divine rune crystals to reinforce it. It's easy to imagine how hard it is to obtain a grade 1 divine rune crystal. Because it's not something that Shen Wu world can create. Even the grade 1 divine rune crystals used to reinforce the sacred tower are all extracted from exotic beast fortresses. In other words, in Shen Wu world, the only way to obtain a grade 1 divine rune crystal is to fight against exotic beasts and destroy their fortresses. The first step of repairing the Dragon Skeleton Tower requires 1000 grade 1 divine rune crystals, and if I want to quickly comprehend the divine rune of death and divine rune of Azura, I'll need at least 1000 grade 1 divine rune crystals to convert. At the current stage, my need for grade 1 divine rune crystals is the highest. Just thinking about how much he needs grade 1 divine rune crystals made Long Yu's head hurt. He and the Envoy of Death destroyed an exotic beast fortress before to get 300 grade 1 divine rune crystals. In other words, if Long Yu wants to rely on himself to get 1000 grade 1 divine rune crystals, he'll have to wait for 2 years, and he'll have to destroy an exotic beast fortress at least 3 times. Long Yu can't be bothered to wait that long. And since the Red Emperor asked him what he needed, he didn't hesitate to tell him. Obviously, hearing the words grade 1 divine rune crystals come out of Long Yu's mouth, the Red Emperor and everyone else were surprised. They didn't think that Long Yu would know about something like grade 1 divine rune crystals. Divine rune crystals only have one use for you, and that is to comprehend divine runes. The Scarlet Emperor was slightly taken aback. Then, he smiled and said, Even if it's a divine rune that you have never comprehended before, you only need 200 grade 1 divine rune crystals to completely comprehend it by converting the attributes of the divine rune crystals. Moreover, the Dubhe Chi drawing, Martial technique also amplifies the conversion effect of the divine character crystals. All in all, I only need around 100 crystals. No, the more the better. It would be best if there were 1,000 of them. Long Yu shook his head and said firmly, if the Red Emperor's gift of acknowledging him as his master was only 100 divine symbol crystals, then that would be a little too disappointing. It wouldn't even be enough to repair 1/10 of the dragon skeleton tower. Long Yu's request clearly surprised the Red Emperor. However, since it was a request from his direct disciple, he naturally would not reject it. I still have 320 first-class divine rune crystals of various attributes here. I'll give them all to you. The Red Emperor decisively took out an interspatial ring and handed it to Long Yu. Long Yu took the interspatial ring and immediately felt it. There were indeed 320 first-class divine rune crystals. From the way the Red Emperor had taken them out without hesitation, it was clear that these divine rune crystals were all the savings of the Red Emperor. Thank you, Master. Long Yu was naturally happy. 320 first-class divine rune crystals. If he sold them to the Lin Clan Trading Company, that would be the equivalent of 32 million Shinbi. How much wealth was that? Of course, Long Yu couldn't sell them. From now on, he had to start accumulating divine rune crystals and attempt to repair the dragon skeleton tower. I've given them to you. Little Seven, can you tell me what you want to do with so many divine rune crystals? The Red Emperor was still very curious about this. He wanted to figure it out after connecting the information he had heard from Murong Xiuzhen and the others. It's nothing much. It's just that when I was on a floating island, I happened to obtain a defective desolate-level warrior. According to the description of the warrior, as long as I have enough divine rune crystals, I can repair the warrior. Long Yu told the truth. Others already knew that he had the dragon skeleton tower, so there was no need to hide it. At most, they would know that he had obtained this desolate-level warrior. As for the news of Jiyo Dragon Emperor, Long Yu already knew how to hide it. Everything he had obtained was recorded in the dragon skeleton tower. This way, at most, people's attention would be drawn to the dragon skeleton tower, but no one would notice Long Yu himself. Who would have guessed that Long Yu had actually obtained control of the dragon skeleton tower because he had the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds? Now, he no longer had the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds, but he had the supreme-grade ancient warrior, the Nether Dragon Blade. No one knew its origin. Even though Shu Chan had been by Long Yu's side when the Nether Dragon Blade had been forged, Shu Chan had been in a coma at that time. The Dragon Skeleton Tower would become the cover for all of Long Yu's secrets. Because of this, Long Yu had put repairing the Dragon Skeleton Tower on his agenda, and directly requested that he needed divine rune crystals to repair it. The Red Emperor did not disappoint Long Yu. So that's how it is. Hearing Long Yu's explanation, the Red Emperor nodded. When the Red Emperor was in the illusion, he had already sensed that Long Yu had a unique power. Now, it seemed that it came from the giant tower warrior that he had. The Red Emperor did not ask anything else. There were too many inheritances in the Shen Wu world, and Long Yu's dragon skeleton tower was only one of them. If you want more divine rune crystals, you can use the Red Emperor's points to exchange for them from the alliance of 5 emperors, or you can ask your first and second brother. They are both veterans in destroying exotic beast nests. They must have quite a bit of savings. The Red Emperor patted Long Yu's shoulder and reminded him with a smile. Thank you, Shifu. Long Yu thanked him again. The Red Emperor's words had indeed provided him with a lot of ideas. Right now, it's very difficult for him to destroy the exotic beast fortress, but there are people who can, and they are people who specialize in doing so. First brother Xing Fa and second brother Dao Jingtian have been fighting against the exotic beasts, so they must have quite a bit of divine rune crystals on them, right? Long Yu of course wouldn't want to take his senior brother's things for free, but he could use other things to exchange for them. Furthermore, the alliance of 5 emperors should also have quite a bit of divine rune crystals. Long Yu could donate some things that are useless to him, exchange them for Red Emperor's points, and then exchange them for some divine rune crystals. Moreover, judging from Lin Rueicai's purchase of divine rune crystals, in the holy city of the Five Emperors, there was still a black market for divine rune crystals. If Long Yu could enter the black market, he would definitely be able to buy some divine rune crystals. Before Long Yu could think for too long, the other 4 emperors besides the Red Emperor finally arrived at the Five Emperors' Hall. Everyone had come to congratulate Long Yu on becoming the Red Emperor's 7th personal disciple. In other words, they had come to congratulate the Red Emperor for accepting another personal disciple. The first to arrive was the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor led many of his personal disciples, including the young Black Blade, who had just been accepted, to congratulate the Red Emperor and Long Yu, and also gave them a big gift. An ancient-level supreme grade pill, the Heavenly Demon Pill. Not only did this Heavenly Demon Pill contain heaven and earth spiritual chi that far surpassed the special crystals, but it also had an extremely pure shadow divine rune aura. Consuming this pill could greatly enhance the compatibility between the cultivator and the shadow attribute divine rune. Its effect was equivalent to an enhanced version of the Shadow Emperor pill. To Long Yu, its effect was self-evident. Haha, as expected of the Demon Emperor. What a generous gift! The Heavenly Demon Pill, such an ancient-level supreme-grade pill, the entire alliance of 5 emperors can only see a few in a year. When the Red Emperor saw this pill, he was extremely happy. After all, this pill had an excellent effect on Long Yu. Thank you, Lord Demon Emperor. Long Yu received the Heavenly Demon Pill and bowed respectfully to the figure of the Demon Emperor, who was shrouded in the shadow of the demonic aura. Just for this Heavenly Demon Pill, Long Yu could not neglect the Demon Emperor. Brother Long Yu, you are a rare genius that has not appeared for decades. The Heavenly Demon Pill was prepared for such a talent. The Demon Emperor laughed and led his disciples to the side to sit down. Following him was the head disciple of the Holy Emperor, Qi Tianming, and a few other personal disciples of the Holy Emperor. However, the Holy Emperor himself did not come. No one knew what he was doing. Junior Brother Long, I'm sorry. Master, the Holy Emperor, is not in the Holy City recently. I can only congratulate you on behalf of Master. Come, take a look. Is this useful to you? Qi Tianming was dressed in a white robe and looked gentle and scholarly. He took out a small bottle, and within the bottle was a clear stream of water. The clear water gave off a mystical power. Duankong's sacred spring. Next to him, Xing Mo stood up and shouted in surprise, "Good heavens, he even took out this thing." That's right, Duankong's sacred spring. Qi Tianming smiled and explained to Long Yu. As long as you absorb the power of this small bottle of Duankong's sacred spring, you will be able to harmonize with the divine rune of space. Of course, you will have to wait until you reach the Imperial Path Arcane Realm before you can absorb it, otherwise it will be wasted. Not only that, after using the Duankong sacred spring, you will naturally be able to comprehend the Void Severance rune. This is the power of the divine rune of origin. Behind Qi Tianming, another personal disciple of the Holy Emperor smiled and said, "Void Severance Rune. Origin Divine Rune." Hearing these 2 words, Long Yu was truly surprised. He didn't think that in the Xun Wu world, even though there was no divine rune origin, there would be some miraculous treasures that could allow people to comprehend origin divine rune. Of course, the current Long Yu had to act like this was the first time he had heard of this. He pretended not to know and asked in confusion, "Divine runes are divided into levels? I only know that comprehending divine rune from a complete divine rune engraving is even more powerful than copying divine rune. What is this origin divine rune?" The power of divine rune is also divided into levels. The most powerful is origin, followed by engraving, and finally copy. Qi Tianming smiled and explained, "The Shadow Divine Rune that you comprehended is the power of Origin Divine Rune, don't you know that?" So the divine rune of 9 serenities is so powerful. I didn't know that, I comprehended it from my ancient pagoda soldier. Chapter 806. Long Yu took the Draconic sacred spring and decided to absorb it as soon as he enters the Imperial Path secret realm. He's been eyeing the power of spatial runes for a very long time. As long as he consumes the Draconic sacred spring, he'll be able to comprehend the space severance rune, a type of origin rune. This Draconic sacred spring must be very valuable, right? Long Yu instinctively asked. It's fine, the Divine Emperor searched many places in the last 10 years and only managed to find this small bottle, Qi Tianming smiled. In truth, this small bottle of Draconic sacred spring doesn't have much use. Other than allowing you to become compatible with the spatial rune, the space severance rune itself isn't very practical. Why is that? Long Yu didn't quite understand. Not all spatial runes can allow you to control space. If you want to instantly travel through space, you can use other methods, but don't even think about using the space severance rune. This type of rune is an extremely offensive divine rune that can break space itself. Think about it, would you dare to enter a broken space yourself? Qi Tianming only explained half of it before smiling and asking in return. Long Yu understood right away. So even though the space severance rune is a spatial rune, it can't be used to travel through space or teleport, it's only a pure offensive divine rune. If that's the case, the space severance rune's offensive power must be quite high. Long Yu had a new question. That's the problem, Qi Tianming shook his head. The space severance rune is a origin rune, so it should be extremely powerful. But everyone knows that divine runes need to be used in conjunction with martial skills and thaumaturgies in order to display their true power. The problem is that even if we search the entire Shen Wu world, we still can't find a single martial skill that can be used in conjunction with the space severance rune. As for thaumaturgies, that's even more impossible. Those who can comprehend the space-shattering godly script are those who have consumed the Draconic sacred spring. In other words, they are all cultivators of the Emperor Path's secret realm. Their 7 divine powers have already been fixed, so it is impossible for them to change to something related to the space-shattering godly script. Qi Tianming said helplessly. So, although this thing is precious, no one can bring out its true might because there is no suitable martial technique. I see. Long Yu was suddenly enlightened. On the surface, he looked a little regretful, but in fact, he had a lot of hope in his heart. Perhaps the Death Messenger knew how to exert the true power of the space-splitting divine rune. The envoy of death came from beyond the sky and followed the Jiu Dragon Emperor for countless years, so he must have seen the space severance divine script before. This can be seen from how the Draconic sacred spring appeared in Shen Wu world. It must have been placed in his own mini-world by the Jiu Dragon Emperor, otherwise how could it have appeared? Since that was the case, it was very likely that the Envoy of Death knew a martial skill that was compatible with the space-severing divine rune. Qi Tianming led a few of the Saint Emperor's personal disciples to the side to rest, followed by the Flame Emperor and his 3 personal disciples. The Flame Emperor's entire body was enveloped in flames. As soon as he appeared, the temperature in the conference hall of the 5 emperors rose by a lot. As soon as he appeared, he looked at Long Yu and smiled. Heroes are born young, this is for you. I hope that you won't disappoint us in the future and become a powerful member of our alliance of 5 emperors. He casually threw out a small bottle. Inside the bottle was a cluster of deep flames. Shadow kindling. After reaching the Imperial Path secret realm, you can absorb its power, allowing you to directly fuse with shadow and fire divine runes, the Flame Emperor casually explained. But for you, this thing only has one use, which is to fuse with fire divine runes. It was a dual elemental treasure. Everyone present was amazed. The shadow kindling was not an ordinary elemental treasure. From a certain point of view, its value definitely surpassed that of the Draconic sacred spring. Although the effect was only half for Long Yu, its value was definitely extremely high. To be able to give away a treasure like the Shadow Kindling, it showed that the Flame Emperor had high expectations for Long Yu. If Long Yu absorbed the power of the Shadow Kindling, then in the future, Long Yu would be compatible with the Fire Divine Runes. In the future, every time he used the Fire Divine Runes, he would think of the Flame Emperor. Similarly, every time Long Yu used the power of the Space Divine Runes, he would probably think of the Saint Emperor and Qi Tianming. This was the reason why they gave him these gifts. In comparison, although the Heavenly Demon Elixir given by the Demon Emperor was far more useful to Long Yu than the other two treasures, in reality, it did not leave as deep an impression on Long Yu as the other two treasures. "Thank you, Lord Flame Emperor." Long Yu thanked him respectfully. "You're welcome." The Flame Emperor smiled slightly, turned around, and led his direct disciple to another seat. The Flame Emperor's figure was thin, and his entire body was enveloped in flames, making it difficult to see his face clearly. However, if he was not enveloped in flames, the Flame Emperor should be a rather handsome young man. "Are there no women among the 5 emperors?" Long Yu suddenly thought of a question and could not help but ask. When they heard Long Yu suddenly ask such a question, everyone present was stunned. However, they immediately burst into laughter. Qi Tianming did not know whether to laugh or cry. "My master, the Saint Emperor, is a woman." "I see." Long Yu scratched the back of his head and smiled embarrassedly. "Sorry, I was too presumptuous." "It's fine. The Saint Emperor is always away. This is not the first time you've asked such a question." The Red Emperor smiled and waved his hand, letting this little interlude pass. Very quickly, Lei Emperor also brought his people over, including his new direct disciple, Yi Ziwei, the genius girl with a lightning mark on her forehead. "Ha! I'm here." Lei Emperor was a burly man. Just by looking at his eyes, one could feel that he was extremely arrogant. Laughing loudly, he brought his people to the 5 Emperors' Assembly Hall. Similarly, he saw Long Yu at first glance. He did not say anything and walked straight to a place not far from Long Yu. He waved at Long Yu and said, "Kid, come out a little. Let me take a closer look." Hearing Lei Emperor's words, Long Yu was a little puzzled. He glanced at the Red Emperor and saw the Red Emperor nod. Then, he walked closer. As Lei Emperor walked, he looked around and carefully sized up Long Yu several times. Then, he nodded and said with satisfaction, "Not bad, not bad. Kid, you have a bright future. Although your current martial arts realm is not high, you have great potential." Long Yu was even more puzzled. What was this Lei Emperor up to? On the other side, the Demon Emperor snorted coldly. He seemed to be very unhappy with Lei Emperor. He asked directly, "When I came over, I directly gave the Heavenly Demon Pill to this kid. You also know that this kid has comprehended the Divine Shadow characters at the origin level. As long as he takes the Heavenly Demon Pill, his strength will definitely increase by another level. Lunatic Lei, what is your gift? Why don't you take it out and let me see?" The Demon Emperor said with a smug expression. Among the gifts given by the 3 emperors just now, the Heavenly Demon Pill was indeed the one that helped Long Yu the most. That was why he was so proud. However, Lei Emperor did not seem to care about the Demon Emperor at all. This burly man walked around Long Yu and observed him a few times. Then, he nodded in satisfaction and said, "Old demon, why are you in such a hurry? How can a mere Heavenly Demon Pill compare to the great gift that I am going to give? Ziwei, come here." Hearing Lei Emperor call her name, Yi Ziwei, who was not far behind him, was stunned. However, she did not say anything and directly walked over. "Haha, old demon, look carefully for me. What is a mere Heavenly Demon Pill?" The Thunder Emperor laughed out loud and directly pushed Long Yu to the side of Yi Ziwei, who was walking over. Then, he said something shocking. "This emperor wants to betroth Ziwei to that little dragon brat. How about it?" Tell me, what is a heavenly demonic pill worth? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the Hall of the Five Emperors was stunned. What? This Lei Emperor actually wanted to betroth Yi Ziwei to Long Yu. This was simply ridiculous. In comparison, not to mention a heavenly demon pill, even the Duankong Sacred Spring and the Dark Shadow Fire Seed added together could not compare to a single Yi Ziwei. Yi Ziwei was a young genius who had stepped onto the 28th level of the illusion realm of the Five Emperors. She was only 16 years old now, but she had already reached the late stage of the Emperor realm. Her future was limitless. Due to her natural thunder mark, she was the most likely personal disciple to inherit Lei Emperor's legacy. But now, Lei Emperor actually betrothed the personal disciple who was most likely to succeed him to Long Yu? This was simply going to scare everyone to death. It was not only the others who were stunned. In fact, even Yi Ziwei herself did not expect her master to make such a decision. It was even more unexpected for Long Yu. He had thought of all kinds of possible gifts, but this was the only one he did not expect. He actually wanted to give him a wife? Seeing that everyone in the Hall of the Five Emperors was shocked, Lei Emperor was finally satisfied. The unshaven Lei Emperor coughed. Ahem, how is it? Is this gift sincere enough? However, this emperor has not discussed this matter with Ziwei yet. As for the specifics, it still depends on Ziwei and little brother Long. Moreover, feelings cannot be cultivated in a short period of time. This series of words instantly made the demon emperor, who was sitting at the side, sneer. You old lunatic, you're obviously trying to get something for nothing. You haven't even told your own disciple, and you've already sold your own disciple out, saying that feelings need to be cultivated. I think, you old lunatic, you didn't bring a gift, so you just casually thought of a way to deal with it, right? As soon as the demon emperor said this, many people around instantly agreed with him. Of course, it was mainly Emperor Yen and the Red Emperor. Obviously, these two great emperors understood Lei Emperor's character very well. If it was said that Lei Emperor did this because he didn't bring a gift, the two of them would completely believe it. Bullsh *T. Lei Emperor instantly snorted coldly. This emperor is sincerely hoping that these two little fellows can come together. Isn't it just right for geniuses to match geniuses? This, at the side, Long Yu was shocked to this point. He hurriedly said, Senior Lei Emperor, I'm afraid this isn't appropriate, is it? Why, you despise this emperor's disciple. Lei Emperor's calm words directly shut up Long Yu's mouth. What else did Long Yu dare to say? If he said another word, he would be seen as looking down on Yi Ziwei and Lei Emperor. Then the consequences, this old lunatic. Chapter 807. No one knew what Lei Emperor was thinking. Anyway, to Long Yu, he wasn't crazy enough to hit on a little girl. Well, Yi Ziwei was only a 16-year-old girl. She was obviously a little girl. Even if she had extremely strong martial arts talent, she was still a little girl. Not long after, everyone left one after another. In this way, Long Yu could be considered to have gotten to know the Five Emperors. In addition, he also saw the overall strength of the Five Emperors' personal disciples. Almost every one of them was in the martial arts realm of the Emperor realm. Other than Long Yu, only Black Knife, Yi Ziwei, and Yu Hanxin had not stepped into the Emperor realm yet. And these four had just become the personal disciples of the Five Emperors, so it was completely normal for their cultivation to be slightly lower. Only Long Yu was currently only in the 6th Daos divinity realm. This was too abnormal. Yi Ziwei kept her head down until the end, not daring to look at Long Yu. Then, she left with Lei Emperor. Before she left, she turned back to look at Long Yu and smiled. Long Yu didn't know what her smile meant, but he didn't take it to heart. Just as the Demon Emperor had said, when Lei Emperor said that he would betroth Yi Ziwei to Long Yu, it was most likely a situation where he didn't bring any gifts, so he was just improvising. If he really took it seriously, trouble would follow. After the four emperors left with their people, Only the Red Emperor's people were left. The Red Emperor waved his hand and directly brought everyone to his training place in the Sacred Tower, which was the 21st floor of the Sacred Tower, the Red Emperor's domain. In the Red Emperor's domain, there were also 10 astral soul formations. It seemed that the treatment of the Red Emperor and Long Yu and the other personal disciples wasn't much different. Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, on the other hand, were shocked. This meant that the astral soul formations were on the same level as the 5 emperors, and they actually had the opportunity to enjoy it. After arriving at the Scarlet Deity's domain, the Scarlet Deity quickly disappeared. He had probably gone to cultivate. The rest of the people were much more casual. Long Yu directly found the eldest senior brother Xing Fa and second senior brother Dao Jingtian, and tried to find a way to ask them if they had first-class astral soul crystals. 2 senior brothers. Long Yu found the 2 and was about to speak, but before he could say anything, Xing Fa waved his hand and interrupted him. "You want the astral soul crystals, right?" Xing Fa smiled apologetically. "It's not easy to get these things. Your second senior brother and I destroy an exotic beast nest every year, but we only get about 300 astral soul crystals. Sometimes we only get 1 or 200. We have no use for the astral soul crystals, so once we get them, we donate them to the Alliance of 5 Emperors in exchange for Red Emperor points. If that's the case, it seems that I have to go find the Alliance of 5 Emperors." Long Yu was a little disappointed, but he didn't think that Xing Fa would lie to him. Just as Xing Fa said, he and Dao Jingtian's comprehension of the astral soul crystals had reached 100%, so there was no need to convert them into first-class astral soul crystals. Naturally, the astral soul crystals would be donated to the Alliance of 5 Emperors. If I had known that you needed astral soul crystals, I would have kept the 300 astral soul crystals we got 2 months ago for you. Dao Jingtian rarely spoke, but at this time, he still smiled stiffly at Long Yu and explained. It could be seen that Dao Jingtian's murderous aura wasn't any less than Xing Fa's. He was definitely a ruthless fellow. It was only now that he was facing his own junior brother that he forced a smile. Long Yu nodded. "It's fine. If that's the case, I'll go to the Alliance of 5 Emperors to take a look." Qin Yashuang and Zi Su followed behind Long Yu respectfully. They saw Xing Fa and other important figures that they rarely saw on a daily basis, and they were quite nervous. The 2 girls thought about the scene just now. Lei Emperor actually wanted to betroth the genius girl's personal disciple, Yi Ziwei, to Long Yu. They felt a little bitter in their hearts. They knew that if they didn't work hard, they definitely wouldn't be able to catch up with Long Yu's improvement in strength. At that time, they would probably be of no use to Long Yu, and they might really be driven away by Long Yu. This made the 2 girls secretly determined that they must improve their martial arts realm as soon as possible. Before, they didn't have a stable cultivation environment. Now that they had the astral soul matrix, they must put most of their attention into cultivation. After a while, Yu Hanxin walked towards Long Yu. She smiled and said, "I didn't think we would meet again so soon." "Yes." Long Yu nodded. He suddenly thought of something and asked, "Over at the North Snow Dynasty, are the Heavenly Mandate Manor and Azura Manor doing well?" "There won't be any problems. I gave Shu Chan and Hong Yu each a communication jade slip. Through that jade slip, they can contact me at any time, anywhere," Yu Hanxin said. "I remember that in the Source Sky Tower, there is a powerful teleportation matrix built, which can allow the people of the Alliance of 5 Emperors to reach the Source Sky Tower instantly." Long Yu nodded in relief, then said with a smile, "I guess there is such a large teleportation matrix in the North Snow Imperial City, right? If anything happens, you can immediately teleport back from the Sacred Tower." "Yes, but to use the teleportation matrix of the Alliance of 5 Emperors, if it is not for a mission, you will need to pay some alliance points. The further the distance, the more alliance points will be consumed." Yu Hanxin nodded and explained, After all, activating the teleportation matrix requires a lot of the power of the divine text of space. Usually, it is replenished with exotic beast crystals. The further the teleportation distance, the more consumption. It is impossible for anyone to use it casually. It is the same even if you are the personal disciple of the Red Emperor. Can you tell me about the alliance points? Long Yu continued to ask. He had just arrived here, so it was normal that he wasn't familiar with these things, so he didn't feel that there was anything wrong with asking. Yu Hanxin then explained it to Long Yu. Within the alliance of 5 emperors, alliance points are the equivalent of Shinbi. You can use alliance points to exchange for many things. Similarly, to earn alliance points, besides doing missions, you can also sell resources to the alliance of 5 emperors, which is also known as donations. To directly teleport from the holy city of the 5 emperors to the North Snow Imperial City, the distance is very far. Every teleportation would consume several tens of thousands of spatial beast crystals. If converted to Shinbi, each teleportation would cost at least 1,000,000 Shinbi. Fortunately, the alliance of 5 emperors has quite a lot of beast crystals. As long as you have enough alliance points or Shinbi, they can teleport you. The North Snow Imperial City is after all a remote area of Shen Wu world. It is a bit too far away from the holy city of the 5 emperors. Each teleportation is equivalent to 1,000,000 Shinbi, which is also 1,000,000 alliance points. How shocking! Long Yu couldn't help but sigh. Although this teleportation matrix is very convenient, isn't the consumption a bit too high? However, at a critical moment, not using this teleportation matrix is not a good idea. Because if you don't use it, it will take at least 2 months to return to the North Snow Imperial City from the 5 emperors, and that's not counting the dangers you might run into on the way. In terms of the value of cultivation resources, alliance points and Shinbi are about the same. However, in the alliance of 5 emperors, you can use alliance points to buy a lot of special things that can't be found in the outside world, Yu Hanxin continued. Aside from that, there are also Red Emperor points. Red Emperor points are the true benefits for us as direct disciples of the 5 emperors. Every time we complete a mission from the alliance of 5 emperors, we will receive Red Emperor points equivalent to 10% of our alliance points. These Red Emperor points are extra. Once we accumulate enough, we can exchange them for the most important things in the entire alliance of 5 emperors. For example, high ancient martial skills. Hearing that, Long Yu understood the difference between Red Emperor points and alliance points. Alliance points were the currency used by the cultivators in the alliance of 5 emperors, and their value was equivalent to Shinbi. As for Red Emperor points, only the 7 current direct disciples of the Red Emperor had them. If you wanted to obtain Red Emperor points, you could only complete missions from the alliance of 5 emperors. In addition to obtaining alliance points, you would also receive 10% of the Red Emperor points. It seems that the treatment of becoming a direct disciple of the 5 emperors is too good. Isn't this equivalent to having 2 rewards for completing any mission, one more than the ordinary cultivators in the alliance of 5 emperors? Long Yu sighed in his heart. If he had known that there was such a benefit, of course, he would have risked his life to become a direct disciple of the Red Emperor, because this was definitely the easiest way to obtain cultivation resources. After a while, the Red Emperor appeared in front of everyone again. This time, he was holding 3 red cloaks in his hand. These are the special cloaks of the Red Emperor's direct disciples. The Red Emperor handed the red cloaks to Long Yu, and his old but energetic face revealed a smile. At the same time, this is also an ancient low-ranked combat weapon. It doesn't have any other uses, but it can be used once a day to condense a defensive barrier that can withstand an attack from an emperor. So powerful? Long Yu was taken aback. An ancient low-ranked combat weapon actually had such an ability? Because this cloak has no other uses. It was only infused with some divine rune crystals, which made it extremely sturdy. The Red Emperor explained, Even I can't break through this cloak's attack in one move. This was a good thing. Long Yu couldn't help but think that the combat weapons made by infusing divine rune crystals were indeed extraordinary. One should know that even the Envoy of Death had never mentioned using divine rune crystals to make combat weapons. As for these two, they are both high-ranked great desolate combat weapons. The amount of divine rune crystals infused into them is slightly less, but if it is used as a defensive barrier, it can at least withstand an attack from a peak Emperor Realm expert. As the Red Emperor spoke, he handed the other two slightly weaker cloaks to Qin Yashuang and Zi Su. The two girls were overwhelmed by the favor. To think that they would receive a battle weapon personally gifted by the Scarlet Emperor. Furthermore, this battle cloak could even withstand an attack from a peak Emperor Realm expert. "Thank you, Lord Red Emperor," the two girls said nervously. "No problem," the Red Emperor said with a smile. "Activating the cloak's defensive barrier requires a lot of energy. Because of the energy-gathering formation, the cloak's energy will automatically recover to its full value every day. However, if you have enough energy, you can quickly replenish the cloak's energy. For example, Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian can use the Red Emperor's cloak as a normal defensive measure. With just this, they can almost become invincible in the Emperor realm, unless they run out of energy." "Amazing!" Long Yu praised. Then, he felt the energy in the Red Emperor's cloak. It was too vast. Long Yu could feel it immediately. Even if he transferred all the energy in his body into the cloak, he wouldn't be able to fill up even 1% of the Red Emperor's cloak. Looks like the total energy in an Emperor Realm expert's body is thousands of times more than mine. Chapter 808. The Red Emperor gave Long Yu, Qin Yashuang, and Zi Su each a Red Emperor's cloak. Although they were of different grades, their effects were equally heaven-defying. Especially the one Long Yu had. It could actually withstand a full blow from a martial Emperor powerhouse. The significance of this was self-evident. However, this is nothing. If I can obtain 1,000 first-class divine rune crystals and restore the ancient dragon bone tower to the ancient grade, I can definitely withstand an attack from a martial Emperor powerhouse by relying on the 9 nether sky screen, and not just once. However, obtaining 1,000 divine rune crystals is too difficult. Long Yu thought to himself. The Red Emperor had brought him to the Red Emperor's domain to give him the Red Emperor's cloak. After receiving the Red Emperor's cloak, Long Yu left with Qin Yashuang and Zi Su. As for Yu Hanxin, Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, and the others, they went to do their own things. The most important thing for everyone was cultivation. However, what Long Yu didn't know was that when Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian left, they were discussing whether they should start the next mission of exterminating exotic beast lairs as soon as possible. As his senior brothers, they hadn't given Long Yu any gifts yet. When the time came, they could give the divine rune crystals they obtained from exterminating exotic beast lairs to Long Yu. Because the Red Emperor's personal disciples hadn't arrived yet, they hadn't given him any gifts yet. Long Yu's third senior sister was out on a mission and didn't know when she would return. Long Yu didn't care much. He had obtained enough things today. The Draconic Sacred Spring, the Shadow Fire Seed, 320 first-class divine rune crystals, the Heavenly Demon Pill, and the Red Emperor's cloak. Any one of these things could cause a bloodbath in the outside world. The value of each item far exceeded 10 million shinbi. I'm going to absorb the Draconic Sacred Spring after I reach the King Realm, so I can't sell it. The Heavenly Demon Pill is of great use to me. Not only can I not sell it, but I must find a way to obtain more. As for the Umber Fire Seed, that is something that allows me to fuse with the Fire Divine Runes. It isn't that useful, but I can sell it. But even if I sell it, it will only be 10 million divine coins. I don't need that money for now. In any case, I won't be able to exchange it for the 600 or so first-grade divine rune crystals I'm still lacking. It seems I can only prepare to complete the mission first. Long Yu made up his mind. However, before accepting the mission, he had to read up on some information, which was the information about the various races and exotic beasts in the alliance of 5 emperors. Long Yu's understanding of exotic beasts was definitely not inferior to the alliance of 5 emperors. However, Long Yu only wanted to know how much the alliance of 5 emperors knew and what information he could use to exchange for alliance points. Without a doubt, this was the fastest way for Long Yu to earn alliance points. After spending a day and a night, Long Yu finished reading the introduction of the various exotic beasts in the alliance of 5 emperors. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He knew that he could make a fortune this time. Long Yu told Qin Yashuang and Zi Su to stay in the dragon domain to cultivate. As for Long Yu, he went to the 3rd floor of the Holy Tower, which was the mission hall of the alliance of 5 emperors. He was prepared to accept a mission and hire a bodyguard. Long Yu knew that there were many forces that wanted to kill him or capture him. Of course, he wouldn't let those people get what they wanted. Therefore, he had to bring a bodyguard on this trip, and it had to be an emperor-level bodyguard. I want to accept this mission. Long Yu came to the mission hall and pointed at one of the missions on the mission board to one of the stewards. The steward didn't pay much attention at first, but when he saw the mission that Long Yu pointed at, he was shocked. Oh my God, young Master Long, you're only in the 6th Daos Divine Power Realm now. How can you accept such a dangerous mission? Exploring the winged god race's exotic beast lair is the highest level of danger among all the missions. The winged god race's exotic beasts were born with the ability to comprehend spatial divine text. Once a cultivator on a mission was discovered by the winged god race's patrol team, he wouldn't even know how he died. Even some emperor-level experts who were proficient in hiding and scouting wouldn't dare to accept such a mission casually. But now, Long Yu, who had just caused an uproar in the city, came and said that he wanted to accept it. According to the usual practice, the steward naturally had to persuade Long Yu. But soon, he found that Long Yu was determined, so he couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. In fact, the steward was very jealous of Long Yu. He was only in the 6th Daos Divine Power Realm, but he was able to reach the 30th level of the 5 Emperors fantasy world. Not only did he become the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, but he also caused a lot of rumors, saying that he was the most talented cultivator in the last 100 years. The steward naturally didn't believe it. In fact, when he saw that Long Yu insisted on accepting this mission, he felt quite satisfied in his heart. This was because no matter how he looked at it, it was impossible for Long Yu to complete this extremely difficult scouting mission. Furthermore, it was very likely that he would lose his life during the mission. The steward was looking forward to Long Yu's death in the mission. What a joke it would be! Don't think that you can surpass everything just because you became the personal disciple of an emperor-level expert. The Divine Power Realm is just the Divine Power Realm. I think you won't be able to return from this mission. The steward looked at Long Yu and thought gloatingly. Of course, Long Yu didn't know what the steward was thinking. In fact, he didn't need to care about what the steward was thinking. Anyway, he was confident in this mission, and that was enough. To complete this mission, I have to at least find out the approximate number of Winged God clan exotic beasts of different levels and the distribution of the buildings in the lair. The difficulty is indeed very high. This is the highest level of exploration mission. Long Yu thought to himself. After this mission was completed, the next mission would immediately appear, and that was to send an advance party to the exotic beast lair he had scouted to carry out a probing attack. The advance team was a team mission. It was the next stage of the exploration mission. The main task was to determine the general situation of the exotic beast lair and formulate a combat plan to eliminate the exotic beast lair. The final stage was to send a large number of experts to the exotic beast lair to eliminate it. Once the exotic beast lair was eliminated, the entire mission would be considered completed. This kind of mission against the exotic beast lair was the highest standard mission in the alliance of 5 emperors. The rewards were also the most abundant. Just the exploration mission alone, if completed successfully, would be worth 5 million alliance points. This was equivalent to 5 million shinbi. Of course, this little amount of points wasn't enough to attract Long Yu's attention. 5 million shinbi could only buy 50 first-class divine rune crystals. For Long Yu's needs, it was tantamount to putting out a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. Therefore, what Long Yu was most concerned about was the mission related to the exotic beast information. After this exploration mission was completed, he could take advantage of the opportunity to complete some missions related to the exotic beast information. He learned many secrets from the Death Envoy that the alliance of 5 emperors didn't know yet. Each of these secrets about the exotic beasts could be exchanged for tens of millions of alliance points. I want to issue a mercenary mission. Any Emperor Realm expert or Emperor Realm expert in the alliance of 5 emperors can accept this mission to be my bodyguard. Long Yu immediately said to the supervisor, "The bodyguard's duty is to escort me to the exploration mission location and ensure that I won't be killed or captured by Emperor Realm or Emperor Realm cultivators along the way." Hearing Long Yu's request, the supervisor felt that it was reasonable and immediately issued the mission. He then asked, "Then, how much are you going to pay for this bodyguard mission, and how many people do you need?" "At least 3 Emperor Realm experts. As for the reward, take a look at this." Long Yu took out a strange bone about 3 feet long from his chest. This is the bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant. It is a material used to refine ancient combat weapons. Of course, using it to refine combat weapons is too much of a waste. If you have an outstanding alchemist, you can refine it into at least 10 dragonesque elephant pills. This is a supreme ancient combat pill that can permanently increase the strength of a cultivator's body. The bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant was the final treasure left behind by the sect master of the Dark Shadow Spectre sect back in Shura County. Perhaps the sect master of the Dark Shadow Spectre sect didn't know how much this thing was worth, but it was obvious that even in the holy city of the 5 emperors, countless people would go crazy for it. The bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant. The supervisor could be said to be an experienced and knowledgeable person. When he saw the bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant, he immediately stood up in shock. His eyes were filled with endless shock. A 3 feet long bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant is worth at least 10 million shinbi, and there's no market for it. Are you going to use it as the reward for this bodyguard mission? That's not worth it at all, the supervisor thought to himself. He could understand that Long Yu, as the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, should have many good things on him, but there was no need to waste it like this, right? A successful exploration mission would only be worth 5 million alliance points, which was equivalent to 5 million shinbi. But this bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant was worth 10 million. Even if it was directly donated to the alliance of 5 emperors, it would still be better than using it as the reward for this bodyguard mission, right? However, Long Yu shook his head. What a joke, this thing could be refined into a pill that would permanently strengthen his physical body. How could he use it as a reward? I'm just using this as collateral, because I don't have that much money right now. Long Yu glanced at some of the bodyguard missions on the board, then said, "As for the reward for this bodyguard mission, I'll give 1 million alliance points for each Emperor Realm expert, but I'll only pay it after I successfully return. If I fail the mission, I'll use the bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant as collateral. Is that okay with you?" "That, of course, is not a problem." The supervisor nodded in understanding. Of course, this was not a problem. If Long Yu succeeded the mission, he'd receive 5 million alliance points. Giving out 3 million to the 3 Emperor Realm bodyguards wouldn't be a problem. If he failed, didn't he still have the bone of an ancient dragonesque elephant as collateral? The cost of a bodyguard for an Emperor Realm expert was about 1,000,000 shinbi for 7 days. In other words, Long Yu had prepared for this mission for 7 days. A mission to explore the beast lair? I thought you were some kind of amazing genius, but it turns out you're just an ignorant fool who overestimates himself. Just then, a mocking voice came from behind Long Yu, attracting the attention of many in the mission hall. Chapter 809. Of course, Long Yu also turned his head around at the first moment, and saw 2 acquaintances. Xiao Xinghai, Yan Wenyao. Long Yu recognized the 2 youths at a glance. They were the participants of the Red Emperor's token during the 5 Emperors' fantasy dimension. Both of them wore 5-colored robes. This was the symbol of the alliance of 5 emperors. It represented that both of them had joined the alliance of 5 emperors and became members of the alliance of 5 emperors. In fact, most of the young geniuses who did not successfully step onto the 20th floor of the 5 emperors' fantasy dimension would choose to join the alliance of 5 emperors. This was because only in the alliance of 5 emperors would they have the most cultivation resources. Moreover, the alliance of 5 emperors gave special treatment to the young geniuses who had participated in the 5 emperors' fantasy dimension battle. Now, Xiao Xinghai and Yan Wenyao had obviously come to the mission hall to accept a mission. They happened to see Long Yu accepting a mission to explore exotic beasts' nests, so they couldn't help but mock him. Perhaps the 2 of them were filled with jealousy towards Long Yu. After all, Long Yu was only in the secret realm of divinity, yet he had become the Red Emperor's personal disciple. Whether it was Xiao Xinghai or Yan Wenyao, they were already in the late stage of the King realm, yet they couldn't be accepted as the Red Emperor's personal disciple. Anyone could understand the imbalance in their hearts. There are always losers who like to talk big in front of me. Unfortunately, these losers will always be losers to me. Long Yu said indifferently, not giving any face to Xiao Xinghai and Yan Wenyao. It wasn't that Long Yu was arrogant, but the other party had already come to bully him. If Long Yu were to tolerate it this time, those 2 fellows might be even more aggressive next time. If he didn't fight back sharply now, he was afraid that he would be treated as a pushover by those 2 fellows. Brat, you're courting death. Yan Wenyao was instantly infuriated when he heard the word loser from Long Yu, and his eyes opened wide while the formidable imposing aura of the advanced stage of the King realm instantly swept out and enveloped Long Yu. Can you kill me? Long Yu was enveloped by the aura of the advanced stage King realm expert, yet his figure remained towering and motionless, and he replied with an extremely calm question instead. This was the sanctum. Long Yu was the personal disciple of the Red Emperor. Who would dare to touch him? Sure enough, after Yan Wenyao released his aura, in less than a breath's time, a fragrant wind blew over and directly eliminated the aura without a trace. Io, why are the juniors nowadays so impulsive? A mesmerizing female voice came from the entrance of the mission hall. Then, everyone saw a beautiful woman in a light yellow dress walking over. She was the one who'd lifted her hand and completely dispersed the imposing aura that enveloped Long Yu, causing Yan Wenyao's face to turn green and purple. This beautiful woman in a light yellow dress was a martial emperor expert. This new mission isn't bad. Escort for 7 days and 1,000,000 alliance points. I'll accept it. The beautiful woman paid no attention to Yan Wenyao, Xiao Xinghai, and Long Yu. She walked directly to the mission board, glanced at it, and spoke to the manager directly. Yes. The manager hurriedly handled the procedures for the beautiful woman to accept the mission with a warm expression, and then pointed at Long Yu. Lady Tianxiang, this is Long Yu, the 7th personal disciple of the Red Emperor. He's the person you'll be escorting this time. What a coincidence. The beautiful woman's eyes suddenly lit up and she turned to look at Long Yu. As the rumors say, you're only in the transcendent realm. But it's okay, with this emperor escorting you, even if you're just an ordinary person, I won't let anything happen to you. Your Lady Tianxiang? When Long Yu saw this woman and heard how the steward addressed her, he roughly knew the identity of this woman. Tian Xiang. In the alliance of 5 emperors, in addition to the 5 emperors who had the highest status, there was also a Cabinet Elders Association. There were more than 20 people in total. Murong Xiuzhen, whom Long Yu had met before, was a cabinet elder. In addition to these 2 places, there were more ordinary elders. Even if it was just an ordinary elder, it wasn't a position that ordinary people could hold. At least, one had to reach the peak of the Emperor realm to be qualified to nominate an ordinary elder of the alliance of 5 emperors. This Tian Xiang was one of the 100 ordinary elders of the alliance of 5 emperors. His cultivation had long reached the peak of the Emperor realm. In terms of martial arts, he wasn't any weaker than the 5 emperors. His combat power was evident. Long Yu didn't expect that an elder would accept the escort mission he had casually issued. It was truly a pleasant surprise. Not bad, not bad. When Tian Xiang heard how Long Yu addressed him, he suddenly smiled. I didn't expect you to have heard of this emperor's name. But since you know this emperor, then there's no need for me to say more. This escort mission, this emperor will accept it all. You have to give me 3 million points, how about it? This really put Long Yu in a difficult position. The Tian Xiang emperor's strength was naturally enough, but Long Yu didn't know how many people were plotting against him. If there were more than 2 groups of strong people coming to kill him, and the Tian Xiang emperor blocked the first group, then another group came. What should he do? Long Yu thought for a while and said, of course, giving Tian Xiang emperor 3 million points is not a problem. But I still need 3 people to escort me to ensure my safety. You're afraid of that old fox from the Taiwu Empire? Tian Xiang emperor suddenly laughed out loud. He raised his hand and patted Long Yu's shoulder. Don't be afraid. Even if that old fox personally comes, he won't be able to take advantage of this emperor. Not to mention, those old foxes only know how to hire assassins all day long. Even the strongest guys in the world of assassins are well aware of their capabilities. Not just the Taiwu Empire, Long Yu shook his head. He was now certain that the Taiwu Empire and the Gongsun clan would attack him. Of course, they wouldn't attack him themselves, but they would hire assassins to kill Long Yu. If other forces were to attack him, Long Yu was afraid that the Tian Xiang emperor alone would be too busy. I'll join too. At this moment, a clear and elegant voice sounded from the side. It was obviously from the mouth of a young girl. Everyone turned their heads to look and were immediately stunned. Yu Ziwei. In truth, when Long Yu saw this young girl, he felt a little strange. After all, not long ago, Lei Emperor had betrothed Yi Ziwei to him. Although I'm only at the peak of the Emperor stage, I can fight against a late-stage martial emperor. Can I be counted as one of them? With every step Yi Ziwei took, there seemed to be lightning under her feet, allowing her to advance at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, she arrived in front of Long Yu and the Heavenly Incense Emperor. She actually stood side by side with Long Yu, less than 3 inches apart. At this distance, Long Yu could almost smell the fragrance of a young girl wafting from her body. All right, 1 million Shinbi. Long Yu nodded and did not say much. He had absolute confidence in Yi Ziwei's strength. Since she was able to reach the 28th floor of the fantasy dimension of the 5 emperors, she was definitely more than enough to deal with an ordinary martial emperor. 3 million. Yi Ziwei shook her head and looked at the Tian Xiang emperor with a challenging gaze. Long Yu and the Tian Xiang emperor were stunned for a moment. They didn't expect Yi Ziwei to propose such a price, and it was obvious that she was provoking the Tian Xiang emperor. Looking at Yi Ziwei's expression, it was obvious that she was saying, if the Tian Xiang emperor can get 3 million, why can't I? Little girl, you're really interesting. You must be the disciple that crazy old man has just accepted. Yi Ziwei, a good name. Of course, even better is your martial arts talent. The Tian Xiang emperor didn't care about the girl's provocation. Instead, He smiled expectantly and said, "With your martial arts talent, I'm afraid you'll catch up to me in less than 10 years. You have to work hard." "I won't let you down," Yi Ziwei said confidently. Long Yu was a little embarrassed as the two girls argued. It wasn't that he couldn't afford 3 million points, but was it really appropriate to give Yi Ziwei the same employment price as the Tianxiang Emperor? Forget it. Long Yu soon stopped thinking about it. How could he tell Yi Ziwei that she wasn't worth 3 million and that he didn't want her? If word got out, wouldn't he be hung up and beaten to death by Lei Emperor? Then it's the two of you. That should be enough. Long Yu decided to pay 3 million each. "Aren't we looking for 3? Yi Ziwei blinked her eyes and asked. "Ahem, I think it's enough with the two of you escorting me. If there's another person, do I have to pay 3 million too?" Long Yu coughed and waved his hand. "Then get ready. We'll set off from the teleportation formation in the afternoon. The mission location is outside of the two empires. No need to prepare. I can set off now," Yi Ziwei said with her chest puffed out. "Me too." The Tianxiang Emperor looked at Yi Ziwei with interest. "But I need to prepare." Long Yu's face darkened. "Then I'll go with you," Yi Ziwei suggested with a smile. "I'm afraid it's not very convenient." Long Yu shook his head and then looked at Yi Ziwei with a playful smile. "I say, little girl, don't tell me you took your master's word seriously? You're too young. I won't do anything to you." Yi Ziwei was directly choked by Long Yu's words, but she quickly reacted and said calmly, "I'm just following my master's words to understand you. My master said that since you can set foot on the 30th floor of the Five Emperors fantasy world, there must be something that I can't match up to. So I must find out which part of you is better than me. I'm not better than you in any way. Is that okay?" Long Yu shook his head. "I'll go and get ready. You're not allowed to follow." Yi Ziwei didn't say anything but kept staring at Long Yu. This behavior had already told Long Yu that she would follow him wherever he went. Long Yu sighed. He could only directly form a seal and return to the 1560th floor of the Sacred Tower, which belonged to him in the Dragon's domain. This was a place that Yi Ziwei couldn't enter. The teleportation formation on every floor of the Sacred Tower was different. This was the only way to ensure the safety of everyone in the alliance of 5 emperors. Seeing that Long Yu had disappeared in front of her, Yi Ziwei suddenly fumed. "Humph. Little girl, if you want to pick up a man, you have to have some patience. Don't follow too closely, understand?" The Tianxiang Emperor chuckled, which made Yi Ziwei even more annoyed. It's just the secret realm of God. If it wasn't for my master saying that he's better than me in one aspect, I wouldn't even bother with him." Chapter 810. In the afternoon of the same day, Long Yu arrived at the mission hall of the Sacred Tower and met up with the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor and Yi Ziwei. No one knew that in just half a day, Long Yu had walked back and forth between the ancient Azura Palace and the city. He had also learned some information about the Winged God clan from the Death Envoy. The biggest harvest was naturally related to the Draconic sacred spring. Just like the bones of the ancient dragonesque elephant. Back then, the Jiyo Dragon Emperor had kept this ancient race in captivity in a small world. Later, when the calamity descended, all the ancient dragonesque elephants were destroyed, and the bones of the ancient dragonesque elephants were unearthed. It was the same for the Draconic sacred spring. According to the Death Envoy, the Jiyo Dragon Emperor had killed a powerful enemy who had comprehended the space-shattering divine rune and seized the enemy's combat weapon, a clear spring, which was the Draconic sacred spring. The Draconic sacred spring was a combat weapon that surpassed the Archean rank. It was even more powerful than any combat weapon Long Yu had seen. It was comparable to the complete form of the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda. However, after the Jiyo Dragon Emperor obtained it, he sealed the Draconic sacred spring in a small world. After so many years, the seal might have loosened a little, causing water to flow out of the Draconic sacred spring combat weapon. This water was only equivalent to the hair of the Draconic sacred spring combat weapon, but just this water was enough for someone to comprehend the space-shattering divine rune. It was obvious how terrifying that super combat weapon was. If you can find the location of the Draconic sacred spring, I have a secret technique that can break the seal set by the Dragon Emperor and take out the entire Draconic sacred spring. At that time, that super combat weapon will belong to you. The Death Envoy said. Long Yu was willing to believe this. Unfortunately, even if he knew the location of the Draconic sacred spring, it would not be easy to get there. Otherwise, why would only the Holy Emperor's side be able to obtain the Draconic sacred spring? Perhaps the Holy Emperor has been studying the seal on the Draconic sacred spring. However, it's still far from enough for an emperor to break the seal. The Envoy of Death expressed his disdain towards the Holy Emperor. Long Yu could only chuckle. Although the Envoy of Death was very strong in the past, he was now just a remnant soul. If the Saint Emperor appeared in front of him, he would probably be killed in a matter of minutes. This was also the main reason why the Death Messenger did not dare to enter the holy city of the 5 emperors. After getting the information he wanted, Long Yu naturally got ready to set off. He directly held a hand seal and headed to the 99th floor of the Holy Tower, the teleportation array level. Because it was a mission teleportation, the 3 of them did not need to spend Shinbi or Alliance points to use the teleportation array. The Emperor Realm Elder guarding the teleportation array activated the array. The 3 only saw a flash of white light, followed by a sudden wave of dizziness. Then, the scene in front of them changed instantly. After the teleportation, Long Yu felt dizzy. On the other hand, the Heavenly Fragrance Empress and Yi Ziwei were completely fine. After all, the 2 women's martial Dao realm was much higher than Long Yu's. Their ability to withstand the spatial divine runes was also much stronger than Long Yu's. Fortunately, your cultivation is still in the transcendent realm. Otherwise, this teleportation would have taken half your life. When Yi Ziwei saw Long Yu's dizzy appearance, she leisurely added another slash to his wound. Of course, Long Yu did not care about the words of a young girl. He calmed his mind and said, "Let's go. This place is not far from the mission's destination. Escort me there. Of course, it would be even better if you could go invisible. Maybe you can lure those who want to attack us out." "I don't know how to go invisible." Yi Ziwei frowned slightly. She had the lightning mark on her forehead and was naturally favored by lightning. But when it came to invisibility, she really didn't know how to do it. "I do. Little sister, be a good girl and come with me." The Heavenly Fragrance Empress covered her mouth and chuckled softly. She finally saw something Yi Ziwei didn't know. "No." Yi Ziwei flatly refused. She shook her head. "If you like to be in the dark, then go do it yourself. I want to follow Long Yu openly anyway." Long Yu turned his head and looked her up and down. It was only when she felt a little uncomfortable that Long Yu finally turned his head back and said, "Up to you. Follow me if you want." Even if a late Emperor Realm cultivator were to follow him, the great emperors hired by the other factions would definitely make a move, right? As long as the Heavenly Fragrance Empress hid herself and didn't let those people see her, after making the arrangements, Long Yu walked out of the room where the teleportation portal was located. The place where the 3 of them had teleported to was a large palace. This palace was the imperial palace of an empire that was tens of thousands of miles away from the sacred city of 5 emperors. The 3 of them walked out of the transportation formation and saw several great emperors guarding the door. The great emperors' faces darkened when they saw the 3 of them. Didn't they say they would send someone to take care of the winged god's beast lair? Why were there only 3 of them here? "You must be the initiators of this mission, yes?" The Heavenly Fragrance Empress glanced at the great emperors behind Long Yu. She was in charge of protecting them, so she walked at the back of the group. "That's right. Our Dragon Return Empire has been harassed by the exotic beasts of the Winged God clan for the past few months. Moreover, the number of exotic beasts of the Winged God clan has been increasing. We flew to the sky to take a look and found that those damn exotic beasts of the Winged God clan had built several nests in the sky above our empire. One of the great emperors clad in crimson armor spoke fiercely. He was the great general of the Dragon Return Empire, Zhan Tianyuan. He was a late emperor and one of the strongest cultivators in the Dragon Return Empire. Of course, he was still a far cry from the heavenly fragrance empress of the Alliance of Five Emperors. The other great emperor frowned and looked at Long Yu's group. Are you here to complete the mission? Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I really don't know what use a Divine Realm kid can be in a mission like this. It was obvious that the people of the Dragon Return Empire respected the Alliance of Five Emperors very much. Even so, they couldn't help but ask questions when they saw Long Yu. His name was Heng Yi, the Prime Minister of the Dragon Return Empire. He was also a late emperor. I'm sorry, but I'm the only one in charge of this mission. Hearing Heng Yi's words, Long Yu spoke up and revealed his identity. I'm here on behalf of the Alliance of Five Emperors. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. Just don't stop me from completing the mission. Of course, it'll be even better if you can assist me. Heng Yi and Zhan Tianyuan immediately looked at Long Yu carefully. However, they couldn't see anything special about him from his appearance. Even if he had some kind of concealment ability, this kid's cultivation was only at the Divine Realm. He would be found out in a single glance. How could he have the chance to explore the beast's nest? All right, since you're sent by the Alliance of Five Emperors, I'll believe you this once. Heng Yi smiled first. Come with me. There's no time to lose. The beasts of the Winged God race have built their nests in the sky above our empire. So far, there are already 12 nests, and the number is still increasing. Your mission this time is to explore the nest closest to us. Long Yu's expression didn't change as he nodded his head. On the other hand, the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor and Yi Ziwei behind him were a little shocked. 12 nests of the Winged God race? Wasn't the Dragon Returning Empire too stupid? How could they let the beast stay in the sky for so long? It would take at least a few years to build 12 nests, right? Senior, you really underestimate our Dragon Returning Empire. Heng Yi seemed to have seen through the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor's doubts. He smiled bitterly. The beasts of the Winged God race have always wanted to build their nests in the sky above our Dragon Returning Empire. However, we've already defeated them countless times. For thousands of years, the Dragon Returning Empire has stood tall until now and defeated the vanguard of the Winged God race hundreds of times. This time, we can't guard against them. General Zhan Tianyuan said in a deep voice. They set up a concealment formation thousands of miles above our empire and built 6 nests in just 3 months. At that time, we wanted to solve it ourselves, but we found that the beasts in the sky were endless. We've already lost 2 Emperor Realm powerhouses and couldn't even break 1 nest. 6 nests in 3 months? The Heavenly Fragrance Emperor was shocked to hear this. In that case, the beasts of the Winged God race must have found something in the sky above the Dragon Returning Empire to make them so crazy. The Dragon Returning Empire, a dignified empire, would seek help from the Alliance of Five Emperors as a last resort. The Heavenly Fragrance Emperor originally didn't think much of the Dragon Returning Empire, but now he respected them. There was no doubt that there was something in the sky above the Dragon Returning Empire that was very attractive to the Winged God race. That was why they wanted to build their nests there for thousands of years. The Dragon Returning Empire wasn't weak to be able to resist the beasts of the Winged God race for thousands of years. But now, perhaps the beasts of the Winged God race had made up their mind and mobilized a large number of forces. In this case, the Dragon Returning Empire obviously couldn't solve the problem by itself. Alright, take me there. Long Yu nodded, indicating that he understood the general situation. Are you sure you're fine? Prime Minister Heng Yi looked at Long Yu skeptically. It doesn't matter if I'm fine or not. You won't lose anything anyway, right? Long Yu smiled. If I don't come back in 7 days, you can inform the others to come over. As long as my mission goes smoothly, I'll definitely come back in 7 days. Yi Ziwei didn't say much about this. She knew that it was impossible for her to follow Long Yu in a real exploration mission. She didn't know how to make herself invisible and didn't know the divine rune of space. Breaking into the nest of the beasts was simply courting death. She was getting more and more curious. Why was Long Yu so confident in this exploration mission? Chapter 8:11. Very soon, Long Yu did not waste any time and immediately set off with the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor and Yi Ziwei. The people from the Dragon Returning Empire did not follow. This was just a scouting mission, and it would not be easy to do things with more people. Instead, it was very likely to cause trouble for Long Yu. Therefore, Long Yu only asked the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor and Yi Ziwei to follow and directly set off into the sky. Not all of the sky above the Dragon Returning Empire had become the territory of the Winged God Clan. If they wanted to reach the 12 nests of the Winged God Clan, they still had to fly for thousands of miles. During this journey, Long Yu and Yi Ziwei walked side by side. As for the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor, he used a concealment method to hide somewhere. However, Long Yu knew that this Peak Emperor realm expert had been secretly protecting him. It's about time. The corner of Long Yu's mouth curled slightly as he flew. The reason why he had to wait for a period of time before he was willing to set off was not only because he wanted to ask the Death Envoy, but also because the forces that wanted to assassinate him would have time to prepare. If Long Yu directly accepted the mission and came to the Dragon Returning Empire, those forces would not be able to catch up with Long Yu at all. Apart from the alliance of 5 emperors, who else had so many resources to carry out long-distance teleportation? But now it was different. With half a day's buffer, those forces that wanted to assassinate Long Yu must have already investigated the target of Long Yu's mission and come to the Dragon Returning Empire to prepare an ambush. This was Long Yu's plan. Long Yu was not afraid of the assassins appearing. Instead, he looked forward to the assassins appearing quickly so that they would fall into his trap and know that he was not someone to be trifled with. If anyone dared to provoke Long Yu would definitely make them pay the price. This way, the other party would think carefully before launching an operation. Yi Ziwei flew side by side with Long Yu and didn't say much. She carefully observed Long Yu along the way, but she didn't find anything special about him. No matter how I look at it, this Long Yu is just an ordinary mystic realm cultivator. It would be best if I could see how he fights. That way, I would be able to analyze his uniqueness, Yi Ziwei thought. Now, she and Long Yu were looking forward to those killers jumping out to deal with Long Yu, because that way, they might be able to see Long Yu's true strength. There is a dense forest in front called the Lost Forest. Rumor has it that those who fall into it will find it very difficult to walk out. Suddenly, Yi Ziwei pointed to a forest in front of them and said softly, there should be an illusion array placed inside. Long Yu nodded and looked at the forest. He found that the forest was covered in a thick white mist, and the dense thicket was faintly discernible. However, the two of them didn't pay too much attention to it. Although there was an illusion array in the Lost Forest, there was no illusion array in the sky. The two of them directly flew above the Lost Forest. With a glance, they discovered that the Lost Forest was extremely vast. It was probably 1,000 li wide. As long as they passed through the Lost Forest, they would arrive directly below the Winged God Clan's nest. However, the two of them were very clear that if the forces targeting Long Yu would set up an ambush along the way, the most likely place for an ambush would be this Lost Forest. Unknowingly, the two of them had already flown into the depths of the Lost Forest. No matter which direction they looked in, they would always see a dense white mist shrouding the entire forest. There's movement. Suddenly, Long Yu felt a killing intent coming from the forest below. He immediately became vigilant. I don't feel anything. Yiziwei frowned slightly. She had been carefully observing the surroundings, but she didn't notice anything suspicious. Could it be that Long Yu found out? Just as she was thinking about this, a burst of white light suddenly lit up from below. In an instant, it soared to the horizon, enveloping Long Yu and Yiziwei within it. This was an illusion technique divine art. Almost immediately, Long Yu and Yiziwei were pulled into an illusion realm. They could no longer see each other. There was only a vast expanse of white in front of their eyes. Even the lost forest beneath their feet had disappeared. Long Yu and Yiziwei were protected behind a net of electricity. Long Yu retreated continuously. Even though he was mentally prepared, he was still shocked by Yiziwei's sudden burst of power. As expected of the personal disciple of the 5 emperors, a late-stage Emperor Realm expert, the power she unleashed was definitely enough to kill an expert like Emperor Yundan in an instant. Chapter 8:12. Yiziwei wasn't afraid of the 2 mid-emperor assassins at all. Lightning bolts shot out from her body towards the 2 assassins. However, the assassin's target was Long Yu, not Yiziwei. One of the black-robed assassins raised his hand and directly condensed a gale shield, forcefully blocking the lightning that filled the sky. The other black-robed assassin's figure flashed, and he actually used spatial attribute divine runes to attack Long Yu. Life or death was decided in this moment. However, the black-clothed assassin had underestimated Yiziwei. A violent bolt of purple lightning suddenly descended from the sky, directly smashing into the black-clothed assassin's body. He was sent flying heavily, and his clothes became incomparably charred. This bolt of purple lightning directly injured the black-clothed assassin. It's the King Dao, the true King Dao. When this bolt of purple lightning descended from the sky, the might that gushed out from it directly caused Long Yu to tremble. This was definitely not something that any divine ability could compare to. Even a high-level divine ability of the 9th heavenly layer would not be able to possess such might. Only the King Dao. Seems like there are still people who have mastered innate skills to the King Dao level. It may be difficult, but it's not impossible for geniuses. A single King Dao was enough to heavily injure a mid-emperor. It was a testament to the power of the King Dao. The highest level of innate skill Long Yu had mastered was only a 7th level high-tier skill. There was still a long way to go before he could break through to the King Dao. Lightning bolts swept across the skies, turning the surroundings into a living hell. Long Yu had long since retreated far away. It was at this moment, 2 late Emperor assassins appeared from the lost forest behind him and charged at Long Yu at the same time. A late Emperor assassin was a pillar of strength even in this assassin organization. For them to send 2 late Emperor assassins just to deal with a mere transcendent secret realm brat like Long Yu, it was clear how much importance the assassin organization placed on Long Yu. It was also clear that the assassin organization knew that Long Yu had hired Yiziwei and Tianxiang Empress to escort him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent so many assassins. But to Long Yu, the appearance of these 2 late Emperor assassins was within his expectations. Before the 2 assassins could even get close, a golden light bloomed in front of them and a giant golden palm appeared out of thin air. With a single slap, the 2 assassins were sent crashing into the ground, creating a crater a few miles wide in the lost forest. A single strike from Tianxiang Empress. Kill! Tianxiang Empress' silhouette flickered in and out of sight. No one knew where she would appear, but in the next moment, she was already charging towards the 2 assassins. They were late Emperor assassins after all. Their physical strength was terrifying, but they didn't die from a single slap from Tianxiang Empress. It was only a matter of time before Tianxiang Empress caught up to them. But just as the Empress was about to make her move, 3 more late Emperor assassins appeared from 3 different directions. The 3 assassins were working together to kill the Empress. A suppressive spell formation rose from the lost forest and trapped the heavenly fragrance emperor within it. The Dark Shadow Pavilion's soul-locking formation. It seems that the entire Dark Shadow Pavilion has come out to deal with a mere Long Yu. What a surprise! The fragrant empress was instantly trapped in the soul-locking formation, unable to move at all. Similarly, the 3 late-stage soul emperors who were trapping her were also unable to move. With 3 top-notch assassins trapping the empress, it would be much easier to deal with Long Yu. Long Yu, the Dark Shadow Pavilion has a total of 7 top-notch assassins. 5 of them have already appeared. 3 of them have used the soul-locking formation to trap me, and the other 2 have already been injured by me. This means that there are 2 more top-notch assassins hiding in the shadows. Tianxiang Empress' voice rang in Long Yu's mind. The soul-locking formation is very powerful. Even I can't break free from it in a short time. It seems that the backup plan you've prepared will come in handy. Indeed, Long Yu had delayed his departure by half a day to give the assassins time to prepare. If that was the case, how could he not be prepared? If that's the case, it's about time. Senior Heng Yi, Senior Zhan Tianyuan, it's about time for you 2 to appear. Hearing Tianxiang Empress' voice transmission, Long Yu knew that it was about time. With a snap of his fingers, 2 late Emperor Realm cultivators descended from the sky. They were the Dragon Returning Empire's Prime Minister Heng Yi and General Zhan Tianyuan. The Dark Shadow Pavilion was one of the top-notch assassin organizations of Shen Wu World. With 7 late Emperor Realm assassins, they had more late Emperor cultivators than the entire Dragon Returning Empire had. The only ones Long Yu could summon were Heng Yi and Zhan Tianyuan. I thought I'd be able to earn 1,000,000 Shinbi for this trip, but I didn't expect to run into the Dark Shadow Pavilion. How unlucky, General Zhan Tianyuan cursed. He wasn't happy about the Dark Shadow Pavilion's appearance. Long Yu hired him and Heng Yi for 1,000,000 Shinbi each to escort him to the base of the Winged God Tribe's hideout. The 2 of them thought that this would be a good job, but they didn't expect to run into the Dark Shadow Pavilion. Fortunately, Tianxiang Empress managed to heavily injure 2 top-notch assassins and stall the other 3, leaving only 2 top-notch assassins from the Dark Shadow Pavilion for Heng Yi and Zhan Tianyuan. Since the Dark Shadow Pavilion is going all out, we won't give you any chance, an eerie voice resounded in the air. Then, a flash of a blade appeared in front of Long Yu. Is that so? Long Yu wasn't afraid at all. Before the flash of blade could reach him, the Dragon Returning Empire's Prime Minister Heng Yi raised his hand and released a barrier of radiant divine runes to block the flash of blade. Then, a golden sun appeared above Prime Minister Heng Yi's head. The brilliant golden light illuminated the surroundings, revealing the darkness within 100 miles radius. 2 invisible figures wearing black cloaks suddenly appeared in front of everyone. One of them was holding a black longsword. It was this person who launched the attack on Long Yu just now. As for the other black shadow, it was about to launch a sneak attack on Long Yu from another direction, but it was directly illuminated by the golden sun. Then, Great General Zhan Tianyuan went up to meet it. Countless sword lights flew out from his body, and they actually contained the power of 4 different types of divine characters: space, fire, ice, and berserk. Long Yu was already prepared for this, but he was still shocked. The foundation of a late-stage emperor was indeed terrifying. From the moment one stepped into the Imperial Path secret realm, one would be able to comprehend the divine runes of all 8 attributes. However, those who could comprehend multiple attributes were few and far between. Not only was it difficult to find treasures that could increase the compatibility of attributes, but the divine runes of each attribute were also different. After comprehending the first type of divine rune, it would take a long time to comprehend the other attribute. This was especially true when it came to comprehending the 3rd and 4th type. But now, a general of the Dragon Return Empire was able to use 4 different divine runes, and this might not even be all of them. In that case, How many divine characters did an expert like the heavenly fragrance emperor comprehend? Long Yu found it hard to imagine. If someone were to tell him that the empress had comprehended all 8 divine runes, he would believe it without hesitation. Just because she was an elder of the alliance of 5 emperors. In the next moment, the power of the divine runes wrapped around Long Yu. This was a defensive barrier created by Zhan Tianyuan and Heng Yi. Only a late-stage emperor would be able to destroy this barrier. Many experts were caught in the middle of a fierce battle. Long Yu looked to the east and could vaguely see lightning flashes. Yi Ziwei was fighting 2 mid-stage emperor assassins in black. Below, the Lost Forest was a thick black fog controlled by 3 top assassins in black. It was the Dark Shadow Pavilion's soul-locking array. The Heavenly Fragrance Emperor was trapped in the soul-locking array. Golden lights could be seen constantly flashing in the black fog where the soul-locking array was located. It was evident that the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor was trying his best to break through the soul-locking array. Several kilometers above the soul-locking array was Long Yu, who was protected by a spatial barrier. Around him, the power of divine characters continuously erupted. Heng Yi and Zhan Tianyuan were engaged in a fierce battle with the other 2 black-cloaked assassins. A battle between late Emperor realm experts wasn't something that could be easily witnessed. Long Yu was the target of this assassination, but he wasn't worried about his own safety at all. Instead, he was watching the battle with great interest. Unfortunately, the strength of Emperor realm experts was too strong, and they were incomparably nimble. Long Yu couldn't understand the battle between experts of this level. It didn't take long for him to notice that the 2 top-notch assassins who were injured by the Empress had stood up and were looking at Long Yu. Although they were injured, they had recovered a small portion of their strength. With their late-stage Emperor strength, they could easily kill Long Yu. However, just as the 2 of them were about to fly towards Long Yu, another figure suddenly appeared beside them, blocking their path. An elder of the Dragon Return Empire, a late-stage emperor. With my strength alone, it should be a piece of cake for me to fend off the 2 of you who are heavily injured. It was a white-haired old man with a sword in his hand. He was dressed in a white robe and had a faint smile on his face. 1 million Shinbi. All I need to do is deal with 2 severely injured assassins and I'll be able to get my hands on it. How easy, whoosh, whoosh. 2 rays of white sword aura condensed from the terrifying power of space and icy divine runes. It froze the entire area and froze the 2 heavily injured late-stage emperors in midair. All 7 of the top-notch assassins from the Dark Shadow Pavilion had been captured. Chapter 8:13. 1 million Shinbi was not a small sum. Perhaps it was nothing to Long Yu, but to ordinary people, even the Prime Minister and Great General of the Dragon Return Empire, it was a pretty good harvest. Especially when they didn't have to do much to earn 1 million Shinbi. Of course, Long Yu could not take out 1 million Shinbi on the spot, but he had the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor by his side. The Heavenly Fragrance Emperor directly paid 3 million Shinbi for the 3 of them. In other words, after this mission, Long Yu had to pay the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor 6 million Shinbi. Why would Long Yu be willing to pay so much just for a mission that rewarded 5 million alliance points? Both the Heavenly Incense Emperor and Yi Ziwei felt that it was unbelievable. However, this was nothing to Long Yu, as he had already grasped many secrets and characteristics of the winged god race's demonic beasts that the 5 Emperors' alliance didn't know. As long as he handed over this information to the alliance of 5 Emperors, he could definitely get hundreds of millions of alliance points. Compared to his own life, a few million alliance points seemed insignificant. What a waste! Just as the situation was in a stalemate, a cold snort came from the nearby space. Then, a spatial blade slashed out from the void and attacked Long Yu. Now, Long Yu was protected by Heng Yi and Zhan Tianyuan's joint defensive barrier. But when faced with this spatial blade, the barrier was actually slashed to pieces. More people came? Long Yu's eyes narrowed, yet his expression remained unchanged. Because the nearby Heavenly Incense Emperor had just escaped the Soul Lock formation at this moment, and then a wisp of golden light descended from the sky before condensing into a golden palm once more, and it firmly blocked that spatial blade. Who would have thought that the Shadow Pavilion Master, who has disappeared for so many years, would also come to join in the fun? I really don't understand. How much did those factions pay you this time for you to have the guts to target the Red Emperor's direct disciple? The Heavenly Fragrance Empress let out a tender laugh. She floated over and stood in front of Long Yu, blocking his way. She raised her hand and condensed a golden ray of light, which directly shot into the void in front of her. It hit a hidden figure and knocked him back hundreds of feet. It was actually the Dark Shadow Pavilion Master, a peak Emperor Realm expert, the same level as the Tianxiang Emperor. King Realm, Emperor Realm, and Great Emperor Realm. Other than the early, mid, and late stages, there was also the peak stage. This stage actually belonged to the late stage, but it was much stronger than ordinary late-stage experts because they only needed one more step to break through to the next realm. The Tianxiang Emperor and the Dark Shadow Pavilion Master were undoubtedly the strongest people here. It seemed that the Dark Shadow Pavilion also had a peak Emperor Pavilion Master in addition to the 7 late-stage Emperor Realm assassins. This kind of strength was more than enough to deal with a single Long Yu. Who would have thought that Long Yu would hire the protection of the Dragon Returning Empire? This was information that the Dark Shadow Pavilion didn't have prior to this mission. A small mistake in information had caused their entire operation to be in a deadlock. However, the Dark Shadow Pavilion Master didn't seem to be worried about completing his mission. After being sent flying by the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor, he actually laughed out loud. TSK, TSK, TSK? Since we've taken action, we have to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Even in this situation, do you think that Long Yu will be able to survive? As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 late-stage Emperor assassins surrounded the Tianxiang Emperor and tried to use the soul-locking array again. Unfortunately, the Tianxiang Emperor was prepared this time and naturally wouldn't let them have their way. A burst of golden light flashed, and golden flowers floated around the Heavenly Fragrance Empress. She cast her innate technique before the soul-locking array could break it completely. We're all at the peak of the Emperor Realm. Do you think you can fight all 4 of us? The Dark Shadow Pavilion Master snorted and attacked the Tianxiang Emperor as well. He was right. Since they've already made their move, how could they let anyone leave alive? If anyone from the Alliance of 5 Emperors were to find out about this, the entire Dark Shadow Pavilion would be wiped out. It wasn't hard to imagine that the Alliance of 5 Emperors would issue a mission to annihilate the Dark Shadow Pavilion, and the reward would be very high. By then, the Dark Shadow Pavilion would be destroyed. Therefore, the Dark Shadow Pavilion Master could only risk his life to kill the Tianxiang Emperor. As long as the Tianxiang Emperor was dead, no one here would be able to escape. The Dark Shadow Pavilion Master watched as the Tianxiang Emperor destroyed the soul-locking array. He raised his hand and formed countless spatial blades that flew towards the Tianxiang Emperor. However, since the Tianxiang Emperor dared to come alone to escort Long Yu, she naturally had her own strength. How could she be defeated so easily? Even if she was besieged by 4 people, she wouldn't be at a disadvantage. In the battlefield, golden light flashed. The Tianxiang Emperor was fighting the Dark Shadow Pavilion Master and 3 top assassins alone. For a moment they were in a stalemate. It seemed that it would take some time to determine the winner. After all, the 4 of them had joined forces. Even if the Tianxiang Emperor was extremely strong, there was no way for her to win immediately. This time, Long Yu finally couldn't watch the battle in peace. Because in front of him, there was another figure in a black cloak. The figure was filled with murderous intent. Obviously, this was also an assassin. Compared to the other assassins, this assassin's martial arts realm was too low. However, in this situation where everyone was in a stalemate, it was obviously very easy for this assassin to deal with Long Yu alone. Long Yu's eyes narrowed. His intuition told him that this advanced stage King Realm assassin before him had an extraordinary identity, and he was absolutely not an ordinary assassin. It's the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion, the youngest son of the Dark Shadow Pavilion master. He's only 13 years old, but he's already a late-stage King Realm expert. In terms of martial Dao talent, he's comparable to the Black Blade and Yi Ziwei. The Tianxiang Emperor's slightly anxious voice reached Long Yu's ears. Long Yu, hurry up and leave. I can't leave right now. I'm afraid I can't protect you. It wasn't just the Tianxiang Emperor. When the late-stage King Realm assassin appeared, the faces of the others on Long Yu's side darkened. Although the white-haired elder from the dragon-returning empire had sealed the two heavily injured late-stage great emperors in ice, a large number of ordinary assassins appeared around him. There were Emperor Realm and early-stage great emperors among them. A group of a dozen or so assassins charged at the old man. The white-haired elder's late-stage great emperor cultivation allowed him to hold on, but he couldn't leave to save Long Yu. On the other side, Heng Yi and Zhan Tianyuan were still locked in a stalemate. They couldn't defeat their opponents for the time being. In other words, the two of them were evenly matched with their opponent. Another group of Emperor and Great Emperor assassins appeared from the clouds in the distance. This time, lightning flashed as Yi Ziwei arrived and intercepted the group of 8 assassins. Almost everyone from the Dark Shadow Pavilion had been stopped by the people protecting Long Yu. The only exception was the Dark Shadow Pavilion's young master. He had already appeared in front of Long Yu. Furthermore, he was holding a pair of Moonblade battle weapons in his hands. One look was enough to tell that they were mid-ancient level battle weapons. A 13-year-old late-stage King Realm genius. Long Yu was a little surprised. He didn't think that the Dark Shadow Pavilion would turn out in full force just to deal with him. It seemed that he was a great temptation. But if that was the case, Long Yu might not necessarily lose. It wasn't as if Long Yu had never killed a late-stage King Realm cultivator before. More importantly, Long Yu had a lot of treasures in his hands. You want to kill me? Come at me then. Long Yu calmly floated in midair. He actually closed his eyes in the face of the murderous young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion. What was he trying to do? The fragrant emperor, Zhan Tianyuan, Heng Yi, the white-haired elder, Yi Ziwei, and the others were all astonished. They didn't know what Long Yu was doing. But in the next moment, they all felt Long Yu's aura rise abruptly. 7 paths of divinity realm. He'd risen at a time like this. Kill! The black-cloaked young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion charged straight at Long Yu. The pair of crescent blades in his hands cut through the air and appeared in front of Long Yu almost instantly. He actually sealed the space. But the 7th divinity I've just comprehended is just enough to break out of this. Long Yu opened his eyes. His entire body was enveloped in the divine runes of the netherworld, and he forcefully opened a path of the netherworld in the sealed space. He then used the Merak star shadow and disappeared from where he was in the blink of an eye, reappearing 100 miles away. Long Yu had just closed his eyes, but he was absorbing the spirit energy of the pills. How many pills did he have on him? He still had a lot of desolate upper-grade pills, ancient lower-grade pills, and ancient mid-grade pills. Most importantly, he had a lot of special beast crystals. If he absorbed all of them, Long Yu could step into the secret realm of monarchs at any time. Originally, Long Yu wanted to wait until his martial realm stabilized, but now it seemed that he would definitely die in the hands of the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion if he didn't increase his martial realm. Although the young master was only 13 years old, he was already a late-stage King Realm expert. His talent was on par with Black Blade and Yi Ziwei. In other words, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion could at least deal with a mid-stage Emperor Realm cultivator. Right now, Long Yu was only in the secret realm of divinity. He was 100% no match for the young master, but the situation might be different if he could step into the secret realm of monarchs. The path of the Nine Netherworld was the divine fruit that Long Yu had condensed after rapidly absorbing the spirit energy of the pills. It was a path that led to the Netherworld and could ignore any spatial seal. Just now, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion had sealed the space and launched a sure-kill attack, preventing Long Yu from escaping. If it wasn't for the path of the Nine Netherworld, Long Yu would definitely be dead by now. The path of the Nine Netherworld could break through any sealed space. This was Long Yu's seventh divinity. It wasn't just this one time. It could be predicted that this move would save Long Yu's life many times in the future. It's not over yet. Continue. Ancient rank pills, absorb them all. World seed, explode. Long Yu flashed away and began to absorb the spirit energy of heaven and earth contained in the pills and special crystals with all his might, urging the world seed to explode. As long as the world seed exploded, an inner world would form in Long Yu's dantian. It would also signify that he had officially stepped into the secret realm of monarch. However, the amount of spiritual chi needed to explode the world seed was massive, and it required time. Chapter 8:14. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion did not say a word and charged towards Long Yu again. Want to break through? That depends on whether there is enough time. If there isn't enough time, then I'll make use of the time. Long Yu saw that the young master was charging towards him again and immediately formed 5 desolate shadow clones. Then, he turned invisible and disappeared from the young master's sight. Shadow clones. Seeing that Long Yu had formed shadow clones, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion sneered. Before they took action, they had already investigated Long Yu's information. Of course, they knew that Long Yu could condense 4 primordial shadows. Now that there were 5 of them, one of them was definitely Long Yu's real body. It was a pity that he did not know that Long Yu had made a breakthrough in this technique when he was in the illusion world of the 5 emperors and was able to form 5 desolate shadow clones. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion waved the crescent blade in his hand. Infinite space blades tore through the void and instantly locked onto the 5 desolate shadow clones. In less than a breath's time, the 5 desolate shadow clones were completely destroyed. However, before they were destroyed, the 5 ancient shadows still used all their might to unleash the spectral spiral runes. 5 spectral spiral runes with 80% of their power bloomed beneath the feet of the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion, restricting the circulation of the divine characters in his body. Even the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion could not break through the 5 phantom spirals immediately. By the time he destroyed the 5 phantom spirals, another breath's time had passed. Moreover, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion had also noticed that he did not kill Long Yu's real body. This meant that Long Yu might have already escaped far away. Trying to run? As an assassin, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion would inherit the Dark Shadow Pavilion in the future. Of course, he was very good at tracking and concealment. In this aspect, no one in the same generation was his match. When he used his divine text, he immediately realized that Long Yu was not far away. The heaven and earth spiritual energy in his body was increasing rapidly. It could be seen that Long Yu had many elixirs and resources that could raise his martial arts realm. Kill! The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion charged over. However, when he condensed a spatial blade and tore apart that Long Yu, he found that it was still only an afterimage. In the face of death, Long Yu managed to make another breakthrough and condensed another desolate antiquity afterimage. Moreover, this gave him another breath of time. In order to attract the other party's attention, Long Yu even left 2 lower ancient-grade pills on the primordial shadow's body and pretended to let it absorb them to create a scene of dense chi, thus successfully deceiving the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was infuriated after being toyed with repeatedly. He immediately expanded the search area, but to his surprise, Long Yu was nowhere to be found within 100 miles. That's right, Shadow. This person can turn into a shadow. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion reacted instantly and looked down at the Lost Forest. Only in the Lost Forest would there be countless shadows, providing the conditions for Long Yu to hide. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion flew down towards the Lost Forest and used his divine text to scan the nearby Lost Forest. Seeing this series of battles, the Emperor of the Heavenly Fragrance Empire and the rest were all shocked. Against the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion, Long Yu was a piece of trash that could be killed in seconds. As long as he was touched by the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion, he would die for sure. However, under such circumstances, Long Yu managed to escape from the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion's eyes time and time again. Even now, even the Emperor of the Heavenly Fragrance Empire did not know where Long Yu was. In the sky, white clouds floated leisurely. In one of the clouds, heaven and earth spiritual chi was gathering and being absorbed. With Long Yu deliberately concealing himself, almost no one noticed him. With the Book of Shadows, Long Yu could disguise himself as a white cloud at any time. Even if the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion used his divine text to detect him, the other party would not be able to detect that it was Long Yu. However, Long Yu could not cultivate while disguised as a white cloud. Therefore, he could only wait for the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion to enter the Lost Forest before reverting to his original form and starting to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual chi from elixirs and special crystals. After such a long delay, Long Yu's world seed was about to explode. With less than half of the heaven and earth spiritual chi, the world seed would explode and allow Long Yu to enter the Monarch Path mystic realm. However, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion could not fool the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion for long. Not long after, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion did not find any traces of Long Yu in the Lost Forest. Once again, he spread his divine text to the sky and finally discovered that Long Yu was hiding in a white cloud. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was very puzzled. If Long Yu was hiding in a white cloud from the beginning, why did he not discover him at the beginning? This made him a little wary. He knew that Long Yu was definitely more difficult to deal with than what was written in the information. However, he still held a pair of crescent blades in his hands and charged towards Long Yu. With the help of the divine text of space, he could cover a short distance in an instant. Unfortunately, when Long Yu sensed the young master's divine text, he immediately reacted and used the shadow evasion technique. This time, he really escaped into the Lost Forest. In less than a breath's time, he once again disappeared from everyone's sight. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion had been toyed with time and time again. He was already incomparably furious in his heart. Therefore, this time, he maintained his detection ability. However, he discovered that after Long Yu entered the Lost Forest, he had disappeared once again. This time, Long Yu had truly vanished. Not even his probing divine abilities were able to detect Long Yu's location. In fact, Long Yu had only used the Book of Shadows to disguise himself as a blade of grass in the Lost Forest. The disguise of the Book of Shadows was basically flawless. If one had to point out a flaw, it would be that there was a Book of Shadows in the body of the thing that Long Yu was disguised as, and Long Yu's actual body was hidden in that Book of Shadows. Simply put, Long Yu and the blade of grass had swapped places through the Book of Shadows. The blade of grass was a real blade of grass. Ordinary divine text wouldn't be able to detect the difference between it and other blades of grass. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was at a loss. Although he had completed many assassination missions at the age of 13 and his hands were stained with blood, he had never encountered such a strange situation. Completely disappeared? How was that possible? Be it invisibility, disguise, or escape using a spatial technique, it couldn't just disappear. If it was through spatial techniques, there would definitely be strong spatial fluctuations. However, there wasn't any. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion could only continue searching the lost forest in an attempt to find Long Yu. He could see through Long Yu's invisibility and Long Yu's shadow incarnation. However, he couldn't see through Long Yu's Book of Shadows disguise. Right now, Long Yu was in a state of extreme joy. Because just now, his Book of Shadows had finally broken through to the 4th level, becoming a mid-tier god art. When he was in the illusion realm of the 5 emperors, he had used the Book of Shadows to disguise himself as a beast, greatly improving his understanding of this god art. Now that he was facing a life-and-death situation, he finally took this step and achieved the mid-tier god art, the Book of Shadows. After becoming a mid-tier god art, the greatest change to the Book of Shadows was that it could form a world of its own within the Book of Shadows. After Long Yu disguised himself as something else, he could cultivate within the space of the Book of Shadows. Of course, there were many limitations to this kind of cultivation. For example, Long Yu couldn't cultivate martial techniques like the Dubhi Chi drawing or the Merak footwork. That was because these martial techniques required a connection with the stars in the sky. However, the world within the Book of Shadows was completely independent and couldn't be connected to the outside world. In addition, after the Book of Shadows became a mid-tier god art, Long Yu could scan all kinds of objects in advance and store their models in the space of the Book of Shadows. He could use them directly in the future, and it would be much easier to use them. One had to know that the original Book of Shadows could only store one image on a page. However, the space within the Book of Shadows could store countless image models. He could disguise himself at any time. At first, I thought I could only find a chance to cultivate slowly or hide and wait for the others to finish fighting. But now I'll be able to enter the Monarch Path secret realm very soon. Long Yu thought to himself as he absorbed the elixirs and special crystals at the fastest speed possible. Very soon, all the elixirs on him were absorbed. However, the world seed still didn't erupt. The spiritual energy contained in these elixirs was equivalent to what an ordinary person would obtain after cultivating for 100 years. Even so, it still wasn't enough to make the world seed erupt. Long Yu could only start absorbing the special crystals of the Monarch realm. The pure spiritual energy contained within a special crystal of the Monarch realm was definitely not inferior to an ancient elixir. Absorb it! Long Yu was disguised as a blade of grass, but his real body was rapidly absorbing the spiritual energy within the space of the Book of Shadows. If it were anyone else, they would have long ago been unable to endure such a violent absorption method. However, Long Yu had cultivated the dead state body tempering art, and the strength of his body and meridians far exceeded that of ordinary martial cultivators in the Theurgy secret realm. As such, he was actually able to endure such a huge flow of spiritual energy. Moreover, the expansion of the world seed was becoming more and more obvious. In the outside world, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was constantly searching for traces of Long Yu. However, no matter how hard he searched, he couldn't find where Long Yu was hiding at all. Finally, he had no choice but to return to the place where Long Yu had disappeared. Hardening his heart, he directly launched an attack towards the surrounding environment. Countless spatial blades instantly shattered the void, shattering the surrounding trees, boulders, soil, etc., all of them exploded. Long Yu, who was disguised as a blade of grass, suddenly became in imminent danger. However, just before the attack of the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion landed on the blade of grass, Long Yu's figure suddenly flickered. The blade of grass directly disappeared, replaced by Long Yu himself. However, the current Long Yu actually exuded the aura of the Monarch Path secret realm. Although he was only in the early stage of the Monarch realm, He was dozens of times stronger than when he was in the Theurgy secret realm. He had broken through. Even though the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion tried to stop him, Long Yu finally stepped into the monarch realm. Fallen Dark Star, condense. After Long Yu appeared, he simply raised his hand and condensed a fallen dark star, which he used to block one of the spatial blades that was flying towards him. Boom! With a loud explosion, the spatial blade and the fallen dark star shattered respectively. However, immediately afterward, fallen dark stars continuously appeared around Long Yu one after another. Chapter 8:15. If it was before Long Yu stepped into the King Path secret realm, even 30 fallen dark stars would have been destroyed by the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion in one move. But now, each fallen dark star could block a spatial blade condensed by the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion. The spatial blades constantly swept towards Long Yu, but by using the balanced control secret art, Long Yu was able to accurately detect the location of each spatial blade and then block it with a fallen dark star, causing both sides to collapse. Long Yu's martial Dao realm was 2 levels lower than the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion. If it was an opponent of the same martial Dao realm, Long Yu's fallen dark star could block several attacks from the opponent. Late-stage martial King realm already possesses origin energy. In the process of chasing me, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion has already integrated origin energy into his attacks. Long Yu's mind was extremely calm. In other words, if this person doesn't use any special means, he can't do anything to me with just his basic strength. The two figures shuttled through the lost forest. Soon, Long Yu returned to the sky and appeared in front of the many Emperor Realm experts. Although an incense stick's time had passed, the situation on the battlefield had not changed much. Many Emperor Realm experts were in a stalemate. Long Yu and the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion rushed out of the lost forest and immediately attracted everyone's attention. King Realm. He actually stepped into the King Realm, from the 6th Daos Divine Power Realm to the King Realm in such a short time? And at the same time, he is also avoiding the pursuit of the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion. Yi Ziwei's heart skipped a beat when she saw this from afar. The condensation and eruption of the world seed required a vast amount of heaven and earth spiritual qi. How did Long Yu absorb so much heaven and earth spiritual qi into his body in such a short period of time, without the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion's sight? Oh, that's amazing! The Heavenly Fragrance Emperor was also having a hard time facing the siege of 4 people. But he still saw Long Yu and felt the aura of a King Realm expert from his body. He had indeed broken through. Furthermore, he had broken through 2 levels at once, directly stepping into the Emperor Path Mystic Realm. Even though it's shocking, he's only at the early stage of the King Realm even if he breaks through, but the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion is at the late stage of the King Realm, and he's not an ordinary late-stage King Realm expert either. This battle will still be extremely difficult. The Prime Minister of the Dragon Return Empire, Heng Yi, frowned as he fought fiercely with his opponent. However, he's the direct disciple of the Red Emperor, so he must have some special methods. Let me see what's so special about the Red Emperor's direct disciple. Battles between great emperors were usually battles of attrition. Whichever side ran out of energy first would be considered the loser. Before this, because he had a complete set of offensive and defensive martial skills, it was very difficult for him to kill his opponent in one fell swoop. Everyone present was in the same situation. The Heavenly Fragrance Emperor was surrounded by 3 top-notch assassins led by the Dark Shadow Pavilion Master. The Prime Minister of the Dragon Return Empire, Heng Yi, and the General Zhan Tianyuan were each dealing with a top-notch assassin. The white-haired elder of the Dragon Return Empire was facing more than a dozen assassins in black. Although none of them were late-stage Great Emperors, they were all early-stage, mid-stage, or Emperor Realm assassins. Yi Ziwei was also fending off more than a dozen assassins from the Dark Shadow Pavilion on her own. Her opponents were mostly early-stage and mid-stage Great Emperors. This put a lot of pressure on her, but under such a situation, her progress in martial techniques and divine arts was extremely fast. It was more than 100 times faster than when she was cultivating normally. In the arena, Long Yu and the Dark Shadow Pavilion's young lord finally officially clashed together. In the beginning, Long Yu could only dodge and evade the young master's attacks. But once he stepped into the Emperor Path Mystic Realm, there was no need for him to dodge anymore. The power of the inner world is impressive indeed. Every time Long Yu used a technique, he would draw power from the inner world in his dantian. This increased his foundational strength by severalfold, and he could feel that as his inner world grew stronger, so would the power he could call upon. Long Yu's foundational strength had increased more than tenfold after stepping into the Emperor Path Mystic Realm. With the addition of the inner world, Long Yu was now 50 times stronger than before. Soul Imprint Rainbow. Long Yu raised his hand and unleashed the pentacolored divine runes that swarmed towards the young master from all directions. Swoosh! The Dark Shadow Pavilion's young master was most proficient in space divine runes. At this moment, with a flash, he dodged the rainbow divine runes that filled the sky. Wielding a pair of crescent blades, he quietly appeared behind Long Yu. Unfortunately for him, Long Yu was prepared for this. Star Confinement. Long Yu directly condensed a dark star, trapping the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion within it. This scene seemed as though Long Yu had prepared a cage for the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion to jump into. Then, the power of the 9 nether divine runes surged in Long Yu's body and formed a bony arm that emerged from the void. At the same time, the 7th grade divine chain, the spiral, appeared outside the star confinement. In just a breath's time, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion shattered the star confinement. However, what welcomed him first was the confinement of the spiral meridians, making him unable to use any technique. In the next moment, the skeletal arm directly grabbed onto his body, and the terrifying power almost crushed his body into pieces. If it wasn't for the young master's strong body, he would have been crushed into pieces. After all, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was not an ordinary late-stage King Realm cultivator. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to fight against Long Yu. Long Yu had killed a beast in the late-stage King Realm when he was in the illusion dimension of the 5 Emperors. Now, he had stepped into the King Path Secret Realm, which was 3 levels stronger than the 5 divine realms in the illusion dimension of the 5 Emperors. Explode! The hand of the 9 underworlds grabbed onto the body of the Dark Shadow Pavilion's young master. However, a series of explosions erupted from the body of the Dark Shadow Pavilion's young master, directly shattering the hand of the 9 underworlds. Divine runes swept across the entire area like a violent storm, sending Long Yu flying back tens of feet. In the next moment, Long Yu raised his head and saw that the black cloak on the Dark Shadow Pavilion's young master had already disappeared. What appeared in front of him was indeed a rather tender youth. However, this youth's eyes were completely pitch black and red, filled with killing intent. With one look, one could tell that his hands were already stained with the blood of countless people. Swoosh! Swoosh! The pair of crescent blades in the boy's hands spun and flew out, breaking through the space and flying towards Long Yu. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Long Yu. Nether Void Dragon Blade. Long Yu held the ancient top-tier combat weapon in his hand. Relying on his balanced control, he accurately predicted where the 2 crescent blades would appear and swung the Nether Void Dragon Blade in that direction. Bang! Bang! Long Yu casually flicked the 2 crescent blades away. However, the spinning speed of the 2 crescent blades was too fast. They only flew a few feet away before they came back again. This time, Long Yu did not move. His whole body was penetrated by the 2 crescent blades. It was an afterimage. As soon as Long Yu flicked the 2 crescent blades away, he immediately used Heavenly Merak Star Shadow. After leaving an afterimage on the spot, he appeared behind the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion. Dragon Breath of the Nine Nether. Long Yu directly opened his mouth and spat out a pitch-black dragon breath of the 9 underworlds, descending on the head of the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion in an instant. The young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion's heart skipped a beat. He immediately prepared to activate the power of the divine rune of the space to escape. But at this moment, a wisp of divine rune of the 9 underworlds hidden in his body suddenly erupted, causing his aura to become chaotic. He did not even have the time to activate the divine rune of the 9 underworlds to dodge. The dragon breath of the 9 underworlds that had broken through to become a high-grade divine ability was extremely destructive. The skin of the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was immediately set ablaze with black flames. His body was charred black, and he suffered endless pain as he flew away in a crooked manner. Even though the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion had an extremely strong physical body, he was still unable to withstand the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds. This attack directly caused him serious injuries. The scene before everyone's eyes directly caused them to be dumbfounded. Long Yu, who had just stepped into the Emperor Path's secret realm, was actually this strong? Not only was his basic strength on par with the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion, but his combat awareness had also surpassed the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion. He had seriously injured the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion in a short period of time. As the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was hit head-on by the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds and fell into a seriously injured state, the battle should be coming to an end. However, Long Yu did not let his guard down. He had heard from the Heavenly Fragrance Emperor that the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was an existence that could fight against an ordinary early or even mid-Emperor realm expert. There was no way such a person could be defeated so easily. A mere dragon breath of the 9 underworlds is definitely not fatal. Long Yu came to this conclusion. He raised his hands continuously and condensed divine runes of the 9 underworlds all over his body. Fallen dark stars continuously appeared around him and surrounded him. 50, 100 Suddenly, a violent fluctuation of divine runes of the space erupted from the top of Long Yu's head. A giant blade light descended from the sky and slashed towards Long Yu. The body of the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion was still being burned by the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds, but in reality, he had not suffered any more injuries. Instead, he pretended to be seriously injured and wanted to launch a sneak attack. However, Long Yu did not fall for his trick, so he could only take the initiative to attack. If he wanted to deal with the 100 fallen dark stars Long Yu had condensed, he knew that he had to display a strong enough method. A blade light, which was also a high-level divine ability, descended from the sky. This blade light was simply going to cut Long Yu into pieces. Serene. Long Yu instantly mobilized the hundreds of fallen dark stars above his head and formed more than 50 serene, blocking the giant blade light. Streaks of star lines were instantly shattered by the saber light. However, Long Yu had prepared over 50 star lines. After over 30 star lines were shattered, he was still able to forcefully block the saber light. Again, the young master of the Dark Shadow Pavilion shouted, and another terrifying blade light appeared above Long Yu's head. After reaching the middle stage of the King Realm, the meridians of the cultivator would become extremely solid, and they could use any divine ability or martial skill they had comprehended at any time. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.